Good morning po sa ating lahat. Please be settled po because we will now start our program. May I invite everyone to invoke the Almighty. May I request all of you for a moment of silence for our opening prayer.
Lord, as we begin today, we ask freshness of your Spirit, that out of confused issues may come simplicity of plan, that out of fear may come confidence, that out of hurry may come deliberation, that out of frustration may come guidance. Let us get to our work, not head first, but heart first. May we be able to disagree without being disagreeable, to differ without being difficult, to be honest without tension, and frank without offense, in an atmosphere of team spirit. Amen.
Again, good morning po sa ating lahat and welcome to Orientation on Budget Circular number 142, Guidelines on the Release and Utilization of Local Government Support Fund, Financial Assistance to Local Government Units, and Support for Capital Outlays and Social Programs. With that, we would like to acknowledge the presence of our Local Capacity Development Division Chief, Mr. J. Beltran. Also joining with us today are RD Nimpa Manalastas, Ms. Ella Obra, and Sir James Verano of Department of Budget and Management. Also, we have our Attorney Jonalyn Esabellano from Commission Elections. Also, we have our representatives from the Office of Project Development Services of the DILG Central Office, Engineer Paul Joseph Sabito and Sir Alran Baltazar. Also here with us today are our Provincial and City Directors of Calabarzon, PD Abigail N. Andes of DILG Batangas, PD Lionel Adalope of DILG Cavite, PD John M. Cerezo of DILG Laguna, PD Daryl A. Dizon of DILG Quezon, PD Alan V. Benitez of DILG Rizal, and City Director Danilo A. Nobleza of DILG Lucena City, together with the cluster heads, City and Municipal Local Government Operations Officers, and representatives from the Municipal Local Government Units, and our PDMU Provincial Focal Persons. And present din po ang PDMU team ng Regional Office sa pangunguna po ng aming PDMU Chief, Ms. Jonalyn Kate B. Magayang, at sa mga attendees po sa ating live streaming. Yes, nakalive po tayo ngayon sa aming official Facebook page, DILG4A. And before we formally open this program, we would like to encourage everyone to please open your cameras all throughout the activity and kindly stay muted po unless we are asked to speak. To formally open po this program, we are pleased to have our LGCDD Chief, J. Beltran, to deliver his welcome remarks. Let us give Kuya J a virtual applause.
Hi, magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat and welcome to our activity today. I'd like to acknowledge first yung pong mga kasamahan natin from the local government units, especially yung pong mga local chief executive, planning officers, budget officers, or yung mga accountant nila, yung mga pinadala po nila for this activity. Siyempre, yung pong mga kasamahan natin na City and Municipal Local Government Operations Officers, yung mga cluster heads na kasama natin ngayon, the provincial and city directors, at yung pong mga punong mga abala po dito na kasamahan din po natin from the PDMU. Ito pong activity natin, the main objective is to inform you about the eligible projects, yung mga process of application, kasama na rin po dyan yung mga documentary requirements and the process flow of approval and the downloading of funds under the LGSF 2022 Financial Assistance to LGUs or ito nga pong FALGU. Kasama din po sa pag-uusapan natin is a brief orientation on the project implementation guidelines applicable to the LGSF FALGU 2022 for LGU project implementing units and the DILG PDMU personnel. So, nais din po nating pasalamatan yung mga kasamahan natin from the DBM, RD Nympha, who's always been very supportive sa mga activities po natin. Will also be graced by Sir James Verano and Miss Ella Obra. At para naman din po sa Office of the OPDS, the Office of the Project Development Services ng ating pong central office, makakasama po natin si Mr. Paul Joseph Fabito and Sir Alran Baltazar. So, maraming salamat po sa suporta niyo dito sa ating activity at sa pagpapaunlak sa amin pong invitation para po mabigyang linaw po itong local budget circular na ito. So, in behalf of our Regional Director Ariel Iglesia, magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat.
Yun. Thank you po, Kuya Jay. Gaya nga po ng sabi ni Kuya Jay, this orientation aims to inform the participants of the eligible projects, the process flow of approval, and the loading of funds under the LGSF 2022 FALGU. So before we proceed with our next session, may I request everyone po to open your cameras for the picture taking. May I request po someone from the PDMU team to take the photo. Thank you. Ayan na po. So, sino po kayang mag-take ng picture natin? Come off. Pasuyin na lang ako.
Okay po. Page 1 po. Lang po. Smile po.
Yan. So, thank you, Christoph. Thank you po sa ating participants. Moving forward po, present ko lang po ang program flow po ng ating activity ngayong araw. So first po is the discussion on budget circular number 142. And then pangalawa po ay discussion on omnibus guidelines on project monitoring, MC 2021-040. And then the third, discussion on Annex A, documentary requirements checklist. And then fourth, guide on enrollments of projects in Subaybayan. And then panglima po, magkakaroon din po tayo ng ating icebreaker. And then Six, Omnibus Election Code Prohibited Acts. And lastly po ang ating open forum. So hindi ko na po papatagalin, dumako na po tayo sa ating first topic. And to discuss the Local Budget Circular number 142, please welcome po Sir James Verano, Budget Management Analyst from the Department of Budget and Management, Region 4A. Sir James?
Hey, hello, good morning po. Malinaw po ang aking audio.
Yes po, sir.
Okay po. Pa-share screen na lang po. Kita na po yung PowerPoint. Ay, hello, good morning po.
Kita naman po, sir.
Kita na po. Okay, thank you po. Okay, so I will be discussing po the contents of the LBC 142. So last January 24, 2022, the DBM issued this LBC to serve as a guidelines on the release and utilization of the LGSF F-FA2 LGUs and support for capital outlays and social programs under, of course, the FY 2022 General Appropriations Act or Republic Act number 11639. So under the special provisions number 2 of the GAA, the amount appropriated for the LGSF FA to LGUs is 5,583,396,000, and for support for capital outlays and social programs naman po is 5,007,600,000, and this applies to all LGUs, well, to the exception po of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim and Mindanao. Well, the LBC provided those enumeration which are allowed for the purposes of utilization of this fund. They are the following. First is the construction, concreting, rehabilitation, repair, or improvement of any of the following: local roads and or bridges, public markets, slaughterhouses, multipurpose buildings, halls, facility including daycare center, auditorium stage, perimeter fence, multipurpose pavements, drainage canals, seawall or river wall, water system projects including level 1 or standalone water points, evacuation centers, public parks or ecotourism parks, fish ports, post-harvest facilities composed of ice plant and cold storage facilities, and protected bike lanes and better pedestrian infrastructure. And for number 2 naman po, purchase of ambulance trucks, mini dump trucks, multipurpose vehicles, or multi-cabs. Third, purchase of medical rescue or disaster-related equipment. Fourth, street lighting or barangay electrification. And fifth, purchase and installation of closed circuit television surveillance system. And lastly, the assistance to indigent individuals or families in any of the following forms: medical, burial, transportation, food assistance, cash for work, and educational assistance. So under the general guidelines of the LBC, the LGSF FA to LGUs shall be exclusively used by the provinces, cities, municipalities, and barangays. And second one, all special budget requests shall be signed by the local chief executive and shall be addressed to the DBM secretary. And third one, the LGUs shall directly submit their special budget request together with the documentary requirements as prescribed under the circular to the DBM Central Office for evaluation. And fourth one, the DBM shall apply the following indicative ceiling on the evaluation of request of LGUs. And for barangay level po, the maximum amount per LGU is 5 million. And for municipality, 10 million. For city, 20 million. And for province is 30 million. Okay, so the priority shall be given to LGUs which have not received any amount from the FYs 2016 to 2021 LGSF FA to LGUs in the allocation of the LGSF FA to LGUs. So now, does it mean that those previous beneficiaries are not cannot avail this LGSF? To answer that, no. The LGUs that previously received funding support from LGSF FA to LGUs, who receive an amount from the previous years, such as FY 2016 to 2020 and FY 2021, may still avail, provided that those funds that were received by the LGUs from FY 2016 to 2020 are completely dispersed or 100% dispersed. And for FY 2021 naman po, at least 70% obligated. Okay. So in cases naman po, to those funds which are undisbursed, no. In case of undisbursed balances from the FYs 2016 to 2020 LGSF FAT LGUs, the recipient LGUs shall submit to the DBM a certification attesting that said balances have been returned by the LGU to the National Treasury together with a corresponding disbursement voucher or deposit slip. And also the previous beneficiary LGU shall also submit to the DBM the fund utilization report prescribed under Annex B hereof. And this form naman po provided po under the LBC, and I will show it later po. And the deadline po for the submission of the special budget request is on or before June 30, 2022, in order to ensure that funds are released within the fiscal year. So now, new requests received through any channel beyond the prescribed deadline shall be automatically returned to the LGUs without any action. So ulitin ko lang po, ang deadline is on or before June 30, 2022. Okay, so the DBM shall directly deal only with the LCE or his or her authorized representative as is specified in the special budget request. There is a portion po in the SBR which shows the name of the LCE and its and his or her authorized representative, and I will also show it later po. Such authorized representative must be an organic personnel of the LGU. And please note this, that the DBM shall refrain from divulging the status or details of fund releases in case of phone inquiries. So wala pong sasagot in case po na may mga tumawag po sa DBM na nagtatanong po as to the status or details of the fund releases. And also inquiries made through electronic mail are also discouraged, but certain queries may still be entertained provided that the sender has established the veracity of his or her identity through submission of a copy of his or her LGU identification card showing that he or she is either the LCE or the authorized representative of the LGU. Now, that the authority to purchase vehicles, where applicable, shall be sought before the posting of the invitation to bid request for quotation consistent with pertinent guidelines on the acquisition and use of motor vehicles. So I have to bold this phrase where applicable because there are some instances that the approving authority is not the DBM, because well, we will discuss I will discuss it later naman, but I will tell you as early as now. The confirmation that will be given by the DBM to LGUs is sufficient or is equivalent to authority to purchase motor vehicle po. So number 9, well, of course, the DILG shall be responsible for the monitoring and evaluation of actual project and implementation of the LGUs. And the obligation naman po of the DBM shall provide the DILG with a list of releases from the LGSFFA to LGUs for monitoring and evaluation purposes. Now, let's move forward to specific guidelines. The number 1, the LGUs shall ensure that their special budget requests have been properly endorsed and substantially comply with the following documentary requirements to merit evaluation. First, special budget request or letter of intent signed by the local chief executive of the requesting LGU under Annex C. And in cases naman po that there's a purchase of motor vehicles, and the document required po are project profile for motor vehicles under Annex D and inventory of motor vehicles under Annex E. And lastly, report on fund utilization for any previous releases funded under FY 2016 to FY 2021 LGSF FA to LGUs under Annex B. Now, this shows po the format of the special budget request. As you can see on the left side po, dun po nakalagay ang project title, the location site, and the requested amount. And on the right side po, it shows the name of the local chief executive and authorized authorized representative, their name, designation, email address, telephone number, or mobile number. And dito magbabase ang DBM if they will entertain the inquiry of the LGU. And this shows naman po the format of the project profile for motor vehicles and for inventory of motor vehicles. And provided naman po siya sa LBC, attached naman po siya. So pwede nyo rin pong i-check. Ito naman po yung sa report on fund utilization, and it shows po the amount, the received amount, the contracted amount, the disbursed or utilized. So the LGs may submit their request and the corresponding documentary requirements to the DBMAS-CRD receiving unit via electronic mail on this email, and we will provide naman po sa chat, and also it is also provided naman po under the LBC. And all required information, format, and signatories in the documentary requirements under this circular and its annexes shall be completely provided for by the LGUs, because in case that there is that the documentary requirement submitted is lacking or incomplete, it is a ground for denial of the request. So fourth, the LGU must inform the DBM if it has received funding from other sources for the same programs or projects to ensure that no duplication of funding will occur. And fifth, the special allotment release order, LGSF FA to LGU, shall be released to the the Bureau of Treasury, while the NCA shall be released to the authorized government servicing banks of the beneficiary LGUs. And this shows naman po the process flow. So first one is special budget request submitted to DBM, and the DBM will check compliance with the documentary requirements. And if the documents are incomplete, it will be immediately returned. And if complete, DBM will evaluate all requests based on necessity, just and equitable distribution, and funds availability. And if approved, the DBM will issue special allotment release order to Bureau of Treasury. Then the DBM shall send confirmation letters to the LCEs to provide them details of the funds released after issuance of fund release documents to BTR. And lastly, the BTR will release notices of cash allocations to the authorized government servicing banks. Now, number 7. Ito po yung sinasabi ko kanina. The confirmation letter shall also serve as the authority to purchase motor vehicle in the event the approval includes motor vehicle procurement. So the confirmation letter is sufficient. No, there's no need to seek for an authority to purchase motor vehicle from the DBM. And to the exception of those motor vehicles which are not included in the enumeration provided under AO number 14. And 8, the LGSF FA to LGUs shall be recorded as a trust fund by the LGUs and shall be made available for disbursement for the purpose specified until December 31, 2023. And as to the limitations on the use of the LGSF, the LGSF FA to LGU shall only be used for the purpose, the program, and or project, including the location thereof for which the fund was released, and for the purchase of motor vehicles with specifications, cost, deployment, and or purpose as is specified in the APMV in the form of confirmation letter issued by the DBM to the LGU. And the LGSF FA to LGU shall not be used for first the projects already fully covered by other sources of funds, and payment of personal services expenditures such as salary, allowances. And for the posting and reporting requirements naman po, the beneficiary LGUs shall comply with the posting requirements prescribed under RA number 9184 and its 2016 revised IRR, or it refers po to the procurement process. And second, prepare quarterly reports on fund utilization and status of program or project implementation. Although this is not the proper forum now, i-take ko na ang opportunity since karamihan ng guests dito is from the LGUs. The DBM4A is posting in the website the status of compliance of the LGUs regarding those reportorial requirements under various LBC. Ay makikita nyo doon kung sino yung mga hindi pa nakapagpasa and yung mga nakapagpasa na. So you should check po para malaman nyo na rin po kung ano yung mga hindi nyo pa napapasa. And our intention naman po is to help the LGU to become a compliant LGU. And third, the reports shall be posted in at least 3 conspicuous public places in the locality and on the LGU's website. And last, the LCE shall send a written notice upon posting of the reports on the LGU's website. And last na po, responsibility and accountability. First, the responsibility and accountability shall rest upon the local chief executive and other local officials concerned of the recipient LGU. for the implementation of programs and projects and proper utilization and disbursement of the LGSF FA to LGUs. And second, to ensure that the funds released to the LGU are utilized strictly in accordance with the applicable budgeting, accounting, and auditing rules and regulations. And also to ensure that disbursement or expenditure of funds by the LGU shall be made consistent with the provisions of the Omnibus Election Code of the Philippines. And that's all po. Thank you.
And so, thank you po Sir James Barano for that clear discussion po na ating LBC 142. So, ang deadline po ng submission po nating documentary requirements ay June 30, 2022 para po sa pag-avail po ng ating mga FALGO projects. And so before we proceed po with our next topic, just a friendly reminder po sa ating participants na to fill out po ang ating attendance na nasa chat box as well as ating pre-evaluation form. And then likewise po, if you have issues and concerns, you may raise it during our open forum or you may set it on our chat box para ma-consolidate po ng aming team. Ayun, so let's proceed na po with our next topic and to discuss the Omnibus Guidelines in Project Monitoring MC 2021-040 and Annex A Documentary Requirements Checklist. Let's welcome po Engineer Paul Fabito from the Office of Project Development Services of the DILG Central Office.
Yan. So good morning po everyone. No? Let me first share my presentation. No? Hello, Ma'am Eunice. Let me first clear, no? Nakikita po ba yung presentation ko? And
yes po, sir.
Yung audio?
Yes po.
Ayan.
Clear
So,
naman po.
good morning once again sa ating mga participants dito, no? I believe parang nakita ko naka-live din yata si Region 4A. So good morning po sa lahat ng nanonood sa atin dyan, no? From our LG representatives to each and every office po na naka-attend today, no? So, it is good na naka-attend tayo today because makikita natin kung ano yung bago or ano yung difference dito sa ating FALGO, no? So, the DBM has released yung ating nga pong kanina na-discuss ni Sir. Hindi ko lang na-catch yung name ni Sir. Pero, that's LBC 142, no? So, this will
excuse me, Sir Paul. Medyo mahina daw po yung boses niya. Pero sa akin naman po, medyo malakas.
Okay.
Medyo paano na lang po siguro, Sir. Pa-adjust na lang.
Hello?
Thank you.
Sorry. Medyo may technical difficulties din yata. Lang. Oh, ma'am. Hello po.
Mahina daw po, sir. Sa ating pong chat ay sabi po ng ating participants ay mahina po. Pero sa akin ay okay naman po yung dating.
So paano kaya? Medyo lakasan ko na lang ng konti na, sorry.
Yes po, sir. Ayan, sir. Lumakas na raw po. Okay.
Yan. So, yan. Yan. Please bear with us na lang, no? Baka may mga technical difficulties on our end din, so hindi namin basta matitrace. Pero anyways, let's proceed with the discussion. No? Sabi nga ni Ma'am Eunice, the first will be the roles and responsibility as stated dun sa ating MC, no? Sa Omnibus Guidelines for in the monitoring ng ating mga projects dito sa LPC. So, for the later part naman, papakita ko rin yung checklist. Sige. Let's proceed, no? So the roles and responsibilities of the LGU. So specifically, this is for our LPMC o yung Local Project Monitoring Committee natin, no? So one of their main roles is to monitor and evaluate programs and projects. So saan at saka paano ba yun? This is the programs and projects, yun yung pong included sa ating LDIP. So including dito yung mga LGSF projects. So alam naman natin na yung mga LGSF projects natin dyan, requirement yan included sa LDIP, no? And then next is yung project implementation. I-monitor natin kung na-implement po ba ng tama yung project natin. And then hindi lang po ito, no? Pati po yung documentary and reporting requirements natin na specified dun sa program details. So katulad po nito, we have LBC 142. May mga diniscuss po na mga documentary and reporting requirements, lalong-lalo na po kanina, di ba? Sabi na ipopost sa website natin yung mga reports na na-generate natin. And then, this is consistent and guided by DILG MC 2019-188 and corresponding budget circular. So let's say pinag-usapan natin ngayon is LBC 142. And then we have din po yung LBC monitoring checklist natin. This is Annex A ng ating MC 2021-040. Ito po yung 2021-040, ito po yung monitoring and evaluation na omnibus guidelines natin. Next. So the LPMC or the LGU LPMC is to provide a copy of the accomplished Annex A ng ating LBC monitoring checklist to our respective DILG field office, and based on the monitoring conducted, including all observations, findings, and recommendations during actual project implementation, if any. Yan. So, paki-inform na lang po, no? Baka po medyo nabibilisan or katulad po na may problema po sa audio. Yan. So, let's proceed dun sa ating LGU Local Engineering Office. So, ano po yung kailangan niyang gawin or roles and responsibility niya? So, ang main roles or main responsibilities niya is for the implementation and supervision ng ating project. So the LEO also ensures that implementation of project is in accordance with dun sa design, sa approved design natin, sa plan and specifications and such other standards. And also compliant din po siya dun sa mga national standards or policies by the national government. So also mag-i-enroll po siya ng project sa ating subaybayan. If hindi ka po familiar po, no, baka first time nyo narinig si subaybayan, this is the official monitoring platform of the DILG. No? So makikita natin dyan yung mga projects na minomonitor po ng ating DILG. So what does the enrollment include? So later on po ipapakita natin yan, pero kumbaga i-discuss ko na kung ano yung dapat nating enroll doon. No? So it includes the following. So project title, allocation, and other basic project details. Engineer, ano kaya yung other basic project details? So that includes, let's say mga, we have road project. So let's say magkano kaya yun, gaano kahaba, ano yung length. So mismo may pati location, i-encode natin doon, no? Yan. So another role or responsibility is to report the status and progress of project implementation. So yun nga po ang sabi ko, encode natin yan sa subaybayan. So the subaybayan system is not parang hindi po siya one time, no? Pag in-encode natin gano'n na. Dapat po continuous natin siyang ina-update din during the project, no? Doon po natin makikita yung progress ng project. So that is to be updated monthly. And this is consistent with the DILG Memorandum Circular 2018-114 and Memorandum Circular 2020-151. So both circular po is regarding dun sa role or responsibility ng ating LEO for the encoding through the subaybayan. Okay? Next is to capture geotag photos and videos. So not only are we reporting yung accomplishment natin, pero pinapakita natin dun sa subaybayan na ito na po yung natapos or ito na po yung accomplishment by using yung ating geotag photos and videos. This is at specific project milestones and to be uploaded in the subaybayan portal. Yan. So baka sinasabi natin ay pa-upload sa subaybayan, no? Si DILG lang naman nakakita niyan. No po, no? So the subaybayan is a public portal. So even our constituents or yung mga nasasakupan natin sa ating LGU can see kung ano po yung nasa subaybayan natin. So they can comment there. They can share their thoughts and opinions dun po sa ating subaybayan as feedback dun sa mga project na in-implement natin dun sa ating local government unit. Next is for the DILG MLGOO or CLGOO. No? So they are to submit accomplished Annex A LBC monitoring checklist to the DILG Provincial Office for the projects monitored for the quarter. So kanina po, no, sabi ko si LGU, LPMC magsasubmit. And then ngayon, magsasubmit naman si MLGOO. So, since part din naman po si ating MLGOO or CLGOO dun sa ating LPMC, the document can be as one na po, no? So, iisa na lang po yung tinutukoy nila dito. If necessary, provide technical assistance to LGU. This is in coordination with DILG Provincial Engineer, lalo na po dun sa mga technical matters requiring mga DED, mga requirements ng national standards. If hindi po, they can coordinate din po sa ating provincial engineers for the provision of technical assistance. Next is preparation of documentary requirements. This is provision of technical assistance po, no? Hindi po sila yung magpe-prepare. This is for the request of fund, for the release of fund, and the use of Annex A as our LBC monitoring checklist as guide. Yan. Next is verify monthly project progress report encoded by the implementing LGU in the Subaybayan. So, yun po, i-verify din po, no, binivet din po ng ating MLGOO yung in-encode ng ating local engineering office sa Subaybayan. And then provide observations, findings, and recommendations if meron po to the LGU. Siyempre, part din po siya ng monitoring team. Yan. So, for the DILG Provincial Office naman po, ang roles and responsibility nila is to review compliance of LGUs dun sa ating LBC. Kung makakapag-comply ba si LGU with regards dun sa implementation or nakaka-follow ba siya dun sa mga guidelines na binigay ng ating LBC. So, further evaluation of Annex A, yung pong pinasa ng ating MLGOO or LPMC, and then provide assistance to LGUs if necessary, yun po, technical assistance, and then submit observations and findings to DILG Regional Office. So, makikita po natin yan, no? Unti-unting in-elevate po yan. And then provide technical assistance, katulad po nung kanina, no? So, preparation of documentary requirements. So, preparation po, no? Baka po, for some cases, baka po isipin natin na dapat sila yung magpe-prepare. No po, no? The LGU is to prepare for the documentary requirements while our field officers po can assist them, can provide technical assistance for them. Okay? So with regards sa request of fund, release of fund, and then the use of Annex A as our monitoring checklist. Guide po. So next is to monitor the day-to-day progress of project implementation. This is for our DILG provincial engineers. This is also based dun sa approved contract, no, dun sa contract ng project. And then if the project, they're going to monitor it if the project is compliant din po sa ating national standards. And then the DILG provincial office shall also conduct on-site validation of projects. So based po ito dun sa monitoring deliverables, no? So yung monitoring deliverables, makita po yun natin yan sa section 7.4 of DILG Memorandum Circular 2018-104. So meron po kasi yung ano, no, medyo, this is for our DILG field officers na rin, no? Baka for additional info na lang sa atin. Dun sa monitoring deliverables po kasi, meron po yung kaming tinatawag na high risk, low risk. So process of evaluation po yan. Kung ano po yung kukundakan or gagawan po ng validation ng project. Yun. Next is project at risk information in the Subaybayan. So sa Subaybayan lang po, makita rin natin dyan kung ano yung mga project at risk na. Yung mga posibleng delayed na sa implementation, yun. Yung mga possible na kumbaga, kailangan na po siyang bisitahin.
Recording stopped. Recording in progress.
Use of quality assurance and assessment report. No? So we have din po yung ating QAAR. This is the QAAR na dinevelop po para po makita natin kung ma-assess natin yung quality ng project. No? So may ano po dyan provided po na link. Yan, tiny URL, QAAR OPDS3. So makita po natin yan. So not only are our field engineers or field officers available, not only our field officers or field engineers na makaka-access po dyan sa QAR. So, meron na po yan na in-improve namin or in-improve po ng OPDS na pwede po na magamit din ng LGU for monitoring their projects. Yan. So, DILG Provincial Office pa din, no? They are to prepare aid memoir. So, sa mga familiar po dyan, yung mga nakapag-validate na or nagkaroon ng experience na na-validate po yung project nila, familiar na po tayo dito sa aid memoir. This is to be made after each project site, project visit or inspection. Dito po nakasulat yung mga findings and recommendations ng ating field officer based on the QAR. And then they are to submit yung QAR natin, no, sa regional office and OPDS during pag nakandak nila yung field validation. And then the DILG Provincial Office is also to act on Subaybayan entries from the result of validation and to be done monthly po, no? So, series of steps po yan, no? From encoding, i-venivet po ng i-venivet yan para ma-sure natin na tama yung lalabas na data at info sa ating Subaybayan. Yan. So, responsibility rin po ni DILG Provincial Office to write letter to LGUs regarding delay if applicable. If any of the procurement milestone dates has lapsed beyond or approved procurement schedule, which is let's say late po sa invitation to bid, bid opening, notice of award, and notice to proceed, no? Pwede po tayong sulatan ni DILG Provincial Office. And then, they are to request submission of the causes of delay. So, susulatan po tayo ng, dito po sa ating mga LGU, susulatan po tayo ng ating provincial office na we have seen na medyo delay po yung project natin and to provide bakit po siya kaya delayed. And then they are to issue a reminder letter if kailangan na po, no, to our LGU, no, this is to be signed by our provincial director. And if the slippage is 5% na, no, makita naman po natin yan sa monitoring natin. So PO may refer to the template, no? So binigay na po natin dito sa memorandum circular natin yung template na pwedeng gamitin ng provincial office. Yan. So next is to provide the following to LGU. So recommendations, yung mga recommendations na napansin nila na pwedeng i-apply sa ating project, and technical assistance. Technical assistance in the form of ano po ba yung kailangan assistance ni LGU regarding dun sa implementation. And then appropriate interventions if needed. So request for approved action plan if may napansin tayo na issue sa project, no, ano yung action plan ni LGU for that. And then elevate the provision of interventions or actions to regional office. So yung mga papansin nila na they are not capable o hindi po kayang actionan or hindi po mas-resolve sa provincial level, pwede po nilang i-elevate yan sa regional office. They are also to issue the second warning letter. So ito po, pag na-issuehan tayo ng first warning letter, usually we are given, no, sabi nga dito, LGU fails to take action 15 days after insurance. We are given 15 days to take action dun po sa mga binigay na findings, no. After po nun, may issuehan po tayo ng second warning letter. Also, if the slippage reaches 10%, no, pag nag 10% na yung slippage natin, no, yun po yung ma-issuehan na tayo ng second warning letter. Ito po yung link for the second warning letter, and then state possible implications of non-compliance. So makita po natin doon kung ano yung mga implication ng hindi natin pag-comply dun sa warning letters natin. Yan. So the PO is to provide possible interventions to resolve issues. Sabi ko nga po, no, the PO is providing technical assistance and also to provide to resolve yung ating mga issues ng implementation or other relevant matters regarding dun sa project natin. And then they're also to act on complaints or issues. They are to be received in the DevLive, no? If familiar po tayo, DevLive po is parang another platform like Subaybayan, which nakaka-receive po tayo ng mga feedback from our nasasakupan or from our constituents din sa ating LGU. Next is projects implemented by LGUs, provinces, barangay, cities, and municipalities within their jurisdiction. So they are to act on complaints or issues na covered po ng jurisdiction nila. So the DILG Provincial Office is also to maintain copies of the following documents. So the procurement schedule, OED, POW implementation schedule, final inspection report, certificate of compliance and acceptance, and various documents related to the projects of all LGUs in the province. So baka po magtataka tayo, bakit hingi ng ganito si LGU, no? So si DILG Provincial Office, no? So part of the responsibility po nila na magtago ng mga documents na yun. Yan. The DILG Provincial Office is also to submit project completion report upon project completion. So ito po ginagawa natin pag na-complete na natin yung project and nakapag-liquidate na tayo. And then kung may tira or may mga savings tayo, dapat po nire-revert ninyo. Kasama po yan sa ipo-provide natin na project completion report. And then once na po natapos yung project, pasok na po siya dun sa 1 year after completion of the project, there are to conduct RSSA po. This is the Rapid Sub-Project Sustainability Assessment. So, itong following guidelines is na-issue na po ito, no? Hindi lang po na-update. Meron na po tayong guidelines for RSSA. So, they are to conduct RSSA. Ito po yung chine-check kung functional or non-functional pa po yung ating project. And if may mga issues pa na na-encounter after the completion of the project. Next is to submit report on posting of reports in at least 3 conspicuous public places in LGU's website. So based on FOP policy, and then within 20 calendar days from each end of each quarter. Ayan. So dito naman po tayo sa regional office, no? For the DRGLG regional office, they are to coordinate all issues encountered against provisions of the applicable LBCs. So that the concerned DBM regional directors, no? Let's say may mga concerns and queries si ating mga LGUs, no? They are to coordinate dun sa ating regional directors ng DBM. And then submit compliance of LGUs to the LBCs, no, based on Annex A of the monitoring checklist. So later on po, no, di-discuss natin yung Annex A covering yung ating LBC 142. Include findings and recommendations. This is to be submitted to the USLG or Office of the Undersecretary for Local Government po. Next is to conduct on-site validation for high-risk projects. So nalala nyo po, no, nabanggit ko kanina, meron po tayong monitoring deliverables and meron po tayong parang criteria para malaman natin kung high risk yung project. So dito po, kinoconduct nila yung site validation na dun sa mga high risk na project natin. So ano pong basis nun? Based on the following. Subaybayan for all LGSF funded projects. So quarterly project monitoring report. Quarterly project monitoring. Needs or in coordination with the RTF-LCAC on the implementation of SBDP projects. Yan. So the DILG-RO is to also act on subaybayan entries based on the result of on-site validation. So from the local engineering office, MLGO, provincial office, ngayon po regional office na yung mag-vet ng entries natin sa subaybayan. Yan. So third warning letter. Paano po ba tayo na-issuehan yan? Sabi ko po, first warning letter, after 15 days, no, non-action taken. Second warning letter, elevate po ngayon yan sa regional office. If the LGU fails to take action 15 days after issuance of second warning letter, a third warning letter is to be issued. Okay? So if the slippage also reaches 15% and above during construction. So ito po yung link ng template and then state appropriate action to be taken. Yung third warning letter na po yan, copy furnishing the following na, no? So DBM Regional Director and Commission on Audit ng local or region. Then they are also to submit list of projects with third warning letter, no? So there may ano po yun, no? May recommendation na and evaluation sa regional office, pero isasubmit po nila yan sa Office of the Undersecretary for Local Government through the OPDST po. Yan. Next is compare the quarterly report on fund utilization and project status posted by the LGU. So kanina po nabanggit ni Sir from DBM na kailangan nagpo-post tayo ng report on fund utilization doon sa LGU website. So i-compare po yan, no, LGU website versus data in the subaybayan. This is for each reporting period. And if with discrepancies, inform the DILGPO for action and then therefore inform naman po ni DILGPO yung ating LGU. And then provide courses of actions and recommendations on issues and concern. So dito po, ito yung mga inelevate na issues and concern ng ating DILGPO sa regional office. And they're also to monitor and evaluate compliance with the monitoring deliverables stated in the circular. Yun nga nabanggit ko kanina. Yun pong monitoring deliverables, no? Yung sa may high risk, low risk, ganun po. This is for DILG provincial and HUCs or ICCs offices. Prepare and submit a project completion report of the programs. So kanina po, project completion report yung sinasubmit natin. No? So ito po, project completion report nung program na. So this is the end of each year. And then they are also to act on complaints or issues received in DevLive and other channels. And yun nga po, those elevated by our DILG provincial office. Ayun. So I'm sorry na end siya bigla, no? So that ends my presentation for the rules and responsibilities, no? Wait lang. Let me share yung ating checklist na kanina ko pa binabanggit. Lang po. Ayan. Ma'am Eunice, narinig pa po ba ako? Nakikita po yung presentation?
Yes po, sir.
Ayan. So dito po, medyo nakahiwalay lang yung ating presentation ng checklist, no? Kasi po yung pag nag-search po tayo ng DILG MC 2021-040, makikita nyo po doon na there are various checklists, there are various annexes, or there are parang several annexes dun sa ating MC. So, dito po ginawa na namin na yung applicable po for today's discussion. Lalong-lalo na po, we are focusing I was informed na we are focusing dun sa DILG, I mean dun sa LPC 142, no, for FACGO for 2022. Yan. So, open natin siya, no. Baka mapansin nyo po na ang sabi kanina is for 2021 yung MC. But however, yung Omnibus Guidelines po kasi niyan, 2021 and onwards po yan. No? So, that applies din sa mga projects for the succeeding years na rin po. Okay. So, proceed tayo. Checklist. Ano po bang nilalaman ng checklist natin? So, meron po tayo dyan, let's say, 3 part po. The first part contains yung mga fund release requirements. Ano po ba yung mga requirements na kanina nabanggit, no? Nabanggit ni Sir. Check ko nga. Sir. Basta the Sir from DBM na kailangan nating i-comply para marilisan or mabigyan tayo ng budget for our projects. The second is yung pong tinatawag nating monitoring parameters ni DILG, yung document completeness, accuracy, quality, timeliness. So last po yung mga reportorial requirements na kailangan nating i-comply. Based din po sa LBC yon. Okay? So tingnan natin. So dito po, parang sabihin natin, parang ang dami naman po i-check na, ang dami nating gagamitin, pero in-identify po namin yan, no? Classify namin siya per type ng project as dictated by the LBC. So the first part is for construction, concreting, rehabilitation, repair, or improvement of local infrastructure. Technically, this is for parang infrastructure po, no? May gagawin tayong rebuild tayo. Sabi ko nga po, no? Yung una po, yung requirements from the LBC. So ano bang nilalaman ng checklist natin? Siyempre, kailangan natin identify what region, anong province, anong name ng LGU yung gagamitan or gagamitan natin ng checklist. Identify natin which project, ano ba yan, local roads and bridges ba yan, slaughterhouse ba yan, multipurpose pavements ba yan. So check lang siya, no? Post-harvest facilities, compost of ice plant, and cold storage ba yan, ganun po, no? So project title, syempre po may project tayo, dapat may project title yan. Ano po yung location, project location, and then amount requested, and then target beneficiaries. Ilan po yung beneficiary natin dyan. So for fund release, una-una po, signed special budget request, SBR letter by the LCE stating the following. So kanina po, no, letter of intent or SBR ang tawag. Dyan. So ano pong contain, kinalaman yan? Project or program title, project location, amount o magkano yung amount requested. Then din may attestation po, no, kung napansin natin, may mga words or phrases doon na in bold letters. Yun po yung tinatawag na attestation natin. One of those is nasulat po doon na dapat si LGU is capable on implementing, no? May ano po sila, may capacity to implement yung project. So yun po ina-attest natin doon sa letter. And then LGU contact details doon po sa lower part nung annex na yun. Mayroon tayong makita na sulat na details ng ating LCE, and then may authorized representative. So if the request covers 2 or more programs, list of programs in order of priority shall be attached. So ito po nabanggit din to kanina, no? Report on fund utilization and status of program or project implementation, Annex B. Please take note that this is applicable only if LGU is a recipient of FYs 2016 to 2020, actually 2021, no? LGSF-FA. So next din po, no? Certification attesting that balances from FYs 2016 to 2019 LGSF-FA have been returned to the National Treasury, and proof of reversion of unobligated balances. Let's say, natapos natin yung project, tapos may tira pa sa trust fund, dapat po may naibalik na natin yon, and then may proof tayo na nabalik na natin yon. So for items B, C, and D, ito po is applicable, no, kung may previous years or may previous availment tayo ng ating LGSF-FA. Yan. So i-discuss natin yung pro forma. Pero sabihin niyo po, no, kasi makita natin Annex A 1.1 hanggang anong number kaya yan, no? Baka lunch na, hindi pa tapos si engineer mag-discuss. So hindi po, no, i-discuss lang natin yung checklist ngayon ng medyo buo, and then later on for further sa other checklists, no, medyo marami. For other checklists, di-discuss natin yung parang pinagkaiba niya. No? Kasi po, more or less, pares naman po yung hinihingi ng ating agency. Yan. So project implementation, no? So documentary requirement, sanggunian resolution endorsing the following projects. Approve LDIP, highlighting the inclusion of the program proposed projects. May approve AIP ba yan? Nakasama yung project natin. And then, since infrastructure po siya, kailangan may approve detail engineering design tayo with POW and detailed estimates. So please take note lang na the DLD shall be in accordance with the design plans and specifications such that other standards and policies of the national government are complied with po. No? And then sabi nga po, certification on capability to implement the program or project issued by DPWH in the case of by administration. Yan. So may guide po dyan, no? That's section 3 of Appendix 1 of RA 9184 or the procurement law. Also, dapat po makita natin na no right of way issue. So paano po ba natin makikita na no right of way? Sasabihin lang po ba na no, wala pong right of way issue yan. No? So dapat po may proof tayo na i-attach. And then proof that LGU has secured all necessary clearances or certification from various national agencies as prescribed by law. So let's say may puputulin tayong puno, kailangan po mag-secure tayo ng cutting permit. So for ECC, CNC, water permit, MIPAS, for indigenous din, no? Minsan may indigenous persons tayo na kailangan consult with the national agency. And then, project is not located in the following, no? So tatlo po ito. Project is not located in a privately owned land, no? Baka po sabihin natin, ay dati po yan, iba yung may-ari. So dapat po may proof na tayo na that property or that land na pinagtatayuan o pagtatayuan ng project is nakapangalan or pwede na po natin gamitin without na magkakaroon pa ng dispute kung sino may-ari. Not in the critical geohazard areas or no-build zones identified or certified by the MGB hazard map. And then within the territorial jurisdiction of the LGU. So dapat po, kung sino yung nag-request na LGU, dapat nandun sa territorial jurisdiction niya. Hindi po yung sa katabi or sa kapitbahay ng LGU. So yan, paano po natin masasabi yun? Dapat po mag-provide tayo ng proof, no? Na mapatunayan natin itong mga items nito. Yan. So second part ng checklist, yung pong DILG parameters, no? Pre-procurement, procurement stage, project implementation, and hanggang po dun sa after defects and liability period. So makikita natin na posible kaya masagutan to ng isahan, syempre po hindi, no? So they are to conduct this not only once, pero as the need po arises, no? So let's say naabutan natin yung project is during pre-procurement. Check lang po yan ngayon ni DILG Field Officer na meron na po bang na-DAI. So include na-DAI in the remarks. May confirmation on the receipt of fund pa. May proof of transfer of LGU to fund to LGU Trust Fund na po ba. For procurement stage naman, ITB posting in PhilJeps, opening of bids, issuance of a notice of award, issuance of date of notice to proceed. So let's say, sabi ko nga po, hindi naman yan sakto na maabutan na tapos na or maabutan na bago pa. So kaya po dito, nilagay namin may target at actual. Para ma-monitor natin na kung kailan na po magaganap yung specific event. Yan. So for project implementation, project signboard per COA Circular 2013-004, compliant ba siya dun sa format na binigay ni COA? And then may request for work inspection ba? May concrete pouring permits po ba? May site instruction? And then for water supply projects, no, kasi may level 1 standalone for this type of projects, water source validation certification issued by the municipal engineer indicating that the water source is feasible for supplying water to the intended beneficiaries. Meron ba yan? And then, if this is kunyari second or third time na napuntahan, there is a notice of defects or deficiencies. And then, pag natatapos na yung project or patapos na yung project, may certificate of completion. And then, after naman po, no after defects and liability period, may certificate of final acceptance. And then also, ano po siya, dapat mabubook siya as asset, di ba? Dapat kasama po siya dun sa annual investment program highlighting the inclusion of maintenance or repair cost in the or stated in the omnibus term statement. So that's for the previous Yeah. So for project execution, nabanggit ko na po ito kanina, no? Gagamitin po natin or gagamitin po ng ating field officers yung QAR para ma-ensure niya po or ma-check niya po yung quality ng ating project. Yan. Last part ng ating checklist, this is the posting and reportorial requirements. So there are 4 sub-topics for the posting and reportorial requirements. Letter A is the compliance to posting and requirements prescribed under RA 9184 and its 2016 revised RRR and all relevant policies issued by the GBP. Quarterly reports, letter B, on fund utilization and status of program project implementation. So this includes yung compliance to DILG policy on full disclosure policy, and then posting of reports in at least 3 conspicuous public spaces in the province. The next is posting of reports in the LGU's website within 20 calendar days from each quarter. So after natin makapag-post, magbibigay tayo ng written notice dito po sa mga nakalista na offices na to, which is the Secretary of the DBM, Secretary of DILG, Speaker of the House of Representatives, President of the Senate of the Philippines, Chairperson of the House of Committee on Appropriations, and Chairperson of the Senate Committee on Finance. So makikita po natin yan, nasa section 6.4 din yan ng ating LBC 142. So the checklist, bakit kaya dinidiscuss to? Sabihin naman field officer ni DILG ang isusulat. So this is to be signed po by our C or MLGOO, no? Nung nasa field natin. Also, monitor din po siya ng DILG regional or provincial engineer. So whichever po yung nag-monitor. And this is to be acknowledged by our local chief executive and authorized LGU representative. So balik po tayo dun sa question ko, no? Bakit kaya dinidiscuss namin ito? So this checklist will also serve din naman po, no? This will also serve the purpose na magagamit natin kung ano yung mga documentary requirements, kung ano yung mga dapat nating i-provide sa DILG, at ano yung mga dapat nating on hand meron tayo, no? Kasi ito po ay requirements from the LBC din, and this is also yung mga i-monitor namin as part of our roles and responsibility po. Yan. So next tayo, Annex A.1.2. This is specifically for vehicles po. So no need to discuss further yung yung mga specifics. Kumbaga pahapyawan natin kasi baka magla-lunch tayo, hindi pa tapos. Pero madali lang naman po ito, no? Madali lang naman po yung checklist natin kasi konti lang naman po siya. Yan, check natin kung ano yung nilalaman ng for vehicles. So the same po siya kanina. Provide tayong details, region, province, name of LGU. Anong type ng program or project ba yung ipopurchase natin? Can it be ambulance, truck, mini dump truck, multi-purpose vehicle, multi-cab? And then how much yung amount na requested natin or how much yung allocated for this project, target beneficiaries for this project. Next is for fund release. The same po siya, no? Papansin natin, A is the same. And then we have din po yung D, E, and F, which is for the 26, ay yung mga nakapag-avail ng FA for the previous years. Ano pong pinagkaiba niya? So we have letter B and letter C. This is including po yung project profile for vehicles and then inventory of motor vehicles. Yan. So for project implementation naman po, dito sa lower right screen natin, 3 na lang po siya. Yan, 3 na lang po siya, no? Ang kailangan natin, yung sanggunian resolution. And then approve LDIP and approve AIP including yung project na pinopost natin, which is nga yung purchase ng specific vehicle. Yan. For project execution naman po, mas konti siya, no? Yung sa pre-procurement, nadagdagan lang siya ng isa. Kailangan po makapagpakita tayo na may authority to purchase motorized vehicle na tayo. So, kasama rin po syempre yung may naday na tayo, confirmation of fund receipt, and then na-transfer na natin, proof na na-transfer na natin yung fund to the LGU Trust Fund. Sa procurement stage, same rin lang po. ITB posting, opening of bids, issuance of NOAA, issuance of NTP. For project implementation, ano nga bang i-check pag vehicle yung binili? So, certificate of acceptance na in-accept natin yung vehicle na deliver. And then project execution, yung qualities ma-check natin by the profile of the newly delivered vehicle. Yan. Same lang po yung ating posting and reportorial requirements. Compliance, dun sa RA 9184 na posting requirements and revised IRR and all GPPB, yung policy for FDP, and then posting of reports in 3 conspicuous spaces, and then posting sa LGU website and written notices dun sa mga concerned offices po. Same po, this is to be signed by our C or MLGOO and then by our DILG engineer po, acknowledged by our local chief executive or authorized LGU representative. Yan. So next po is yung street lighting or barangay electrification. So iniwalay po namin siya, no? Provide tayong details like usual. And then ano po parang chine-check lang ng ating checklist kung tama ba tayo ng ginagamit ng form, no? Check po natin tama ba na street lighting or barangay electrification ba to? And then project title, project location, amount requested, target beneficiary. Yan, for fund release, yun po ulit, no, signed special budget request, SBR letter, na may mga details. Ito po. Yan. So report on fund utilization, certification attesting, and proof of reversion, which is pag nakapag-avail tayo ng LGSF for the previous years. For project implementation, yung sanggunian resolution, approve LDIP, approve AIP po, kasama po talaga. Since magko-construct tayo ng for street lighting, kailangan may approved detail engineering design tayo, and then certification on capability to implement. And then, kung saan po itatayo o saan natin nilalagay yun, dapat may no right of way issue siya, and proof that LGU has secured all necessary clearances for that as particular implementation of the project. Yung BCA natin, almost the same na rin naman po siya, no? Pre-procurement na DAI, confirmation of receipt of fund, proof of transfer. For procurement, yung ITB, opening, issuance of NOAA, and NTP. For project implementation, this is katulad po nung sa infrastructure kanina, project signboard, request for work inspection, pouring permit, may defects and deficiency, certificate of completion, and then same din po, meron siyang after defects and liability period na may final acceptance na tayo, and then kasama siya dun sa ating annual investment program na may maintenance budget siya. Yeah, same reportorial requirements, and this is to be signed din po for our field officers. Acknowledge lang po tayo, no. So bakit po kaya pinapa-acknowledge kay LCE o kay authorized representative, no? So let's say po, no, may finding tayo. May finding si field officer na hindi po natin comply. This is to inform din po dun sa ating LGU na kailangan nilang i-comply to, no? So hindi lang po yung basta nag-check po si field officer, in-inform niya rin po, no, as a way of technically assisting them yung mga requirements na kailangan nilang i-comply. Kaya po pinapa-acknowledge siya. Yan. This is the last na po, no, for the checklist. This is po yung others. So bakit po kaya siya others? Dito po nagpo-fall yung wala siyang specific structure. So dito rin po nalalagay yung mga non-infra projects. So let's say purchase and installation of CCTV, closed circuit television surveillance system, purchase of medical disaster rescue related equipment, yung assistance to indigent individuals in any of the following forms: medical, burial, transportation, food assistance, cash for work, and educational assistance. So ulit po, parehas po siya nung kanina. Indicate natin yung project title, indicate natin yung project location, amount requested, and target beneficiaries. Yan. So, ito po, ayan, no? Yung signed request na yan, galing po yan sa LBC 142. So, dapat po meron tayo yan. Papakita natin yan. Tapos may mga details po yan. So, C, D, and E is the same. Ito po yung mga reports or mga certification na kailangan natin ipakita pagka nakapag-avail po tayo. Ang difference po dito, kailangan magpakita tayo ng project profile or proposal. And please take note po yung project profile or proposal. May i-discuss po tayo dyan later on dito sa project implementation. So for project implementation, yung sanggunian resolution, LDIP, and then AIP, yun din po yung kailangan nakasama siya. And then, dun po sa monitoring parameters ni DILG, we have pre-procurement, procurement, and project implementation stage. So bakit po kaya blanco itong project implementation stage? So dito po, i-indicate natin kung ano po yung status na ng program. So paano po natin malalaman kung compliant sila? Kaya po hinihingi or kaya po nanghingi tayo ng kopya ng project profile nila para po doon natin mako-compare yung actual implementation. So indicate po natin dito yun. Let's say may cash for work, no? Cash for work program is scheduled ganito. Tapos ganito po yung target beneficiaries. Parang ganun po siya. Pwede natin indicate dyan. Same po for posting and reportorial requirements. Yung apat na yan, yung A, B, C, and D na yan, kailangan nating i-comply. And syempre po, this is to be signed by our CMLGOO, DLG Provincial or Regional Engineer, and acknowledged po ng ating LGU by our local chief executive or authorized LGU representative. So yun po, no? That ends my presentation for the roles and responsibilities and for the checklist for our LBC 142. I hope nakapagbigay tayo ng parang konting enlightenment, no? Kasi I believe naubos na ni Sir from DBM yung enlightenment with regards sa LBC 142. So nakapagbigay tayo ng parang mga inputs natin for the enlightenment ng ating ginagawang monitoring for this type of projects, for this type of program, I mean. So, yun lang po. Maraming salamat po, no, for attending this orientation. I also want to thank yung ating regional office for inviting us to share our insights or share our opinions or share this presentation for our LGUs. Yun lamang po. Maraming salamat po ulit. Stay safe. And back to you, Ma'am Eunice.
And so, thank you po, Engineer Paul. And na-discuss nga po ni Engineer Paul yung roles and responsibilities po ng ating key personnel pagdating po sa pag-monitor po ng ating FALGO projects, as well as po yung ating documentary requirements checklist po, and ating monitoring parameters and reportorial requirements po based po sa ating LBC. Ayan, so just a friendly reminder lang po sa ating participants, naka-hindi rename po yung ating mga pangalan sa Zoom para ma-recognize po tayo kung saan po tayong LGU. Kindly type na lang po LGU_name. Ayun po. And then para po sa ating issues and concerns, you may raise it po during po ang ating open forum. Ayan. So, okay pa po ba ang lahat? May I see po heart reaction po sa inyo na. Ayun, maraming salamat po sa mga nagbigay ng kanilang heart reactions. Thank you po. And to continue po with our discussion, let's welcome po Sir Alran Baltasar, Information System Analyst 2 from the Office of Project Development Services of the ILG Central Office. So Sir Alran po will show us how to enroll po the projects in Subaybayan. Sir?
Ay, hello Ma'am Eunice. Hello, malinaw po ba yung aking audio?
Yes po sir, okay naman
sige,
po.
Sige. Kasi kahapon medyo mahina daw eh. Medyo in-adjust ko lang. Sige, so let me share my screen lang po. Kita po ba? Kita po
Yes
yung
po,
presentation.
Sir. Yes po sir, kita naman.
Yan, sige. So, wait lang. Ayan. So sige, let's start. So again, isang magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. To our colleagues from the DILG Region 4A, magandang umaga po. Sa ating mga kasamahan from the field offices, from the province, no, up to the cities and municipalities. Ayan. Good morning po. And meron din tayong mga LGUs na representatives na nandito po sa ating meeting. So magandang umaga po. And of course, sa lahat po ng nakadalo sa activity po na ito. So for this morning, binigyan tayo ng oras to discuss yung some of the salient parts of the omnibus guidelines, which essentially includes yung enrollment ng LGSF projects natin sa Subaybayan. So this procedure po is being discussed since dito po magsisimula ang monitoring natin ng mga LGSF projects as far as the Subaybayan is concerned po, no? So importante po talaga na malaman natin ang tamang proseso, no, ng pag-enroll ng mga projects. Actually, this is not the first time na ipe-present po natin ito. Nagsimula po tayo last year nung ni-roll out po natin itong procedure ng Subaybayan na ito. So I guess meron tayong mga participants no na familiar na po sa enrollment. But for the purpose of reorienting po and refreshing everyone, andito ulit tayo no para i-discuss itong pag-enroll ng project sa Subaybayan. So mabilis lang po ito since konting steps lang ang hinihingi ang kailangan po in order for us to enroll a project, an LGSF project. So let's start. Ayan, so siguro bago tayo magsimula dun sa mismo step-by-step procedure, kailangan nating malaman kung bakit nga po ba nagkaroon ng ganitong feature si Subaybayan. First is that this feature po is included in the Subaybayan in order for the system to adapt with the adjustments and varying modalities of the LGSF programs, especially in the project identification and fund release. So alam naman po natin lahat na pagdating ng 2021 onwards is nagkaroon ng pagbabago sa landscape ng mga projects natin. And second is that it is also stated in the section 4.2.1.2.c of the Omnibus Guidelines or yung ating DILG-MC 2021-040 in which it states that the local engineering office shall enroll the projects in Subaybayan to include the project title, allocation, and other basic details. So ito po yung nabanggit kanina ni Sir PJ na merong role ang ating mga local engineering office to enroll the project sa ating Subaybayan at ilagay yung mga project title, allocation, and other basic details. So itong other basic details is on the succeeding slides, makikita po natin kung ano-ano po ba ito. Sige, next. Meron lang din tayong kaunting reminders na dapat natin tandaan in enrolling a project. First is that all enrolled projects are subject to approval of the DILG Central Office. So ibig sabihin po nito is hindi automatic na lalabas sa Subaybayan yung ating in-enroll na project. Of course, this has to undergo yung ating vetting and validation. So need po yan muna makita ni Central Office and si Central Office ang final mag-a-approve. And then after that, tsaka po lalabas sa Subaybayan si project na in-enroll. So the project codes will be also provided by the Central Office upon the enrollment of the projects. Ayan, so magkasabay po yan yung approval ng project at yung paglalagay ng project code. Both is responsibility po ng Central Office yun. And lastly, we have ito. It is recommended for the LGUs to start enrolling their projects upon the receipt of the NADAI or yung ating notice of authority to debit account. So ito po yung pinaka-queue kung kailan natin ipapasok sa Subaybayan yung project. So sige, so simulan na natin yung steps. Again, these are the basic details na hinihingi in enrolling a project So meron tayong 8 na hinihingi. First is that yung location. Sa location po nandiyan yung probinsya, yung rehiyon, yung probinsya, yung city or municipality, and yung barangay. Kung mapansin niyo po, merong open close parenthesis So si region, province, and municipality these are pre-identified na based po yan sa ating mga accounts dahil meron tayong areas of assignment. So ang kailangan lang po nating punan na data is si barangay. Number 2 requirement is kung anong program. Sinama na rin natin dito yung DRAP, AC, and SBDP since these are all accepted po sa ating Subaybayan. Number 3 requirement is yung project title. Yan, of course. These are all indicated po sa mga project proposals natin and other documents. And number 4, we have the procurement types. Kung goods po ba or infrastructure. Eventually, magkakaroon po siya ng non-infrastructure for advance info lang. So, inaayos na po natin yan para tanggapin na rin ng system. Number 5 po is yung project description. Ayan, ilagay po natin yung some specs ng mga projects natin. Of course, hindi mawawala yung funding year. Importante po yan. At the same time, yung allocation. So kung magkano po yung national subsidy ng projects. And lastly, we have the type of project. So itong mga details na ito are considered the basic. So ito yung pinakapagkakakilanlan ng project na hinihingi upon the enrollment process. So generally, hindi naman ito mahirap hanapin. So this is indicated naman sa mga proposals natin. So to formally start with the procedure, of course, for the step 1, kailangan natin muna pumunta sa website ng Subaybayan. So, this is the https www.subaybayan.dilg.gov.ph. Tapos, piliin po natin yung login button. Ayan, ito po, login button. After natin mapindot, pupunta po siya sa login page, no? So, for the step 2, kailangan natin i-entry, no, yung ating username and password. So, upon entering our usernames and passwords, sa step 3 na tayo once na makapasok tayo sa system. So, ang sabi dito, on the left user panel po ng inyong screen is select po natin yung LGU Enrolled Project na button. So, ito po yung pinaka-itsura niya ng left user panel natin ito. And then makikita natin dito yung button for enrollment. Ayan, ito po yung LGU Enrolled Project. So, piliin po natin yan. And then for the fourth step, after natin mapindot yung LGU Enrolled Project, automatically pupunta siya dun sa listahan ng mga proyektong in-enroll natin. So in this screen, meron sa bandang upper right side ng inyong mga screens, meron po diyang button na sinasabi na Create Project. So ito po yung kailangan nating pindutin and i-select lang po natin. After natin ma-select, pupunta na po mismo sa project creation page, no? Ano po ba ang nilalaman ng project creation page? Dito na po natin ipapasok yung mga basic details na hinihingi, such as yung region, yung province, municipality, and etc. Kung mapansin niyo po sa project profile, medyo kulay gray, ano? Yung region, province, municipality. Dahil again, pre-identified po ito. So hindi po natin ito magagalaw. Naka-base po ito sa ating mga accounts na sinet po ng ating region. So, again, si Barangay lang po natin ang kailangan fill upan. Si Barangay. Ayan, Barangay. And ilalagay din natin yung name of program. Si project code is nakakulay gray din siya, no? Since na-mention ko earlier na si DILG Central Office ang maglalagay po ng project codes. And after po natin kay name of program, andyan si project title, andyan si procurement type kung goods po ba or infrastructure. And andyan din po yung ating next requirement, which is yung description of the project. Ayan, and yung funding year, original allocation, type of project, and subtype of project. So for this last field, yung subtype of project, pwede natin itong i-leave as blank na lang, ano, kung hindi naman applicable. Hindi naman siya required in enrolling a project. Kung meron lang talagang subtype na nakalista dito, pwede nating piliin. So before tayo mag-proceed, ano, meron dito sa baba na dalawang button. Isa po is yung Save as Draft. Pangalawa is yung Submit for Vetting. So ano po ba ang ibig sabihin ng dalawang buttons na ito? Unahin natin si Save as Draft. Sabi po dito, si Save as Draft allows user to save the encoded project details without submitting the project for approval or vetting. So basically, if an instance na hindi natin sigurado yung mga nailagay natin, meron pa tayong, for example, sa allocation, hindi tayo sure, ano? Parang gusto nating i-validate pa. Pwede nating piliin si Save as Draft, no? So ibig sabihin po niya, masi-save po yung project, lahat ng mga na-encode natin is nasa system, no? Hindi siya mawawala, hindi na kayo uulit sa umpisa, no? Sa pag-encode. So ito yung purpose po niya ni Save as Draft. On the other hand, andito si Submit for Vetting. Kabaliktaran naman ni Save as Draft. Dito naman is pagsigurado na si encoder, no? So ang sabi dito, this button will submit all the encoded data to the central office for vetting. So kabaliktaran siya if ever na sure na lahat ng data, all the encoded information are based sa ating mga dokumento. So i-submit for vetting na po natin siya. So after po natin makapag-decide kung sure na ba tayo or hindi, makapili na tayo kung save as draft ba or submit for vetting, let's proceed po to the last step. So after nating ma-enroll yung project, again, hindi po siya automatic, no, na magre-reflect sa ating subaybayan. So this base sa ating proseso, kailangan po ulit na ma-validate and ma-approve ni central office. So upon the enrollment of the projects, meron tayong makikita, no, na tatlong status. For an instance, itong tatlong projects na ito is enrolled. Pero magkakaiba yung kanyang profile approval status. Isa is yung LGU submitted, pangalawa po is yung LGU draft, pangatlo po is yung needs encoding. So ano po ba ang ibig sabihin ng mga status na ito? No? Unahin natin si LGU draft. Ang sabi po dito, pag lumabas po na LGU draft yung status or yung profile approval status natin, the project has been saved as draft and not yet submitted for vetting. So ito po yung magiging status, no, if pinili natin kanina yung save as draft na button, yung previous step kung pinili natin save as draft, ito yung magiging status, no. Anytime pwede natin siyang balikan and palitan yung mga na-encode na natin na data. Next status natin is si LGU submitted. Ang sabi po dito, pag lumabas na LGU submitted yung inyong status, ibig sabihin po niyan, the project is awaiting for DILG Central Office's approval. So, ibig sabihin po niyan, nasubmit nyo na po, napindot nyo po yung submit for vetting. However, hindi pa siya na-approve at nalagyan ng project code ni Central Office. And dumako po tayo sa last profile approval status, which is yung needs encoding. Kabaliktaran po ulit ito ni LGU submitted status. Ang ibig sabihin po nito that the project has been approved and now reflected in the subaybayan. Users may now update the progress of the projects. So ito na yung pinaka-last step ng enrollment. No? So if makita na natin na needs encoding na po yung status ng ating in-enroll na project, ibig sabihin po niyan, reflected na po yan sa subaybayan, approved na po yan sa subaybayan. And if pumunta tayo sa pinaka-left ng inyong screen, mapapansin nyo na meron ng project code. Ayan po sa number 3, sample project code. Ayan. So since nabanggit ko kanina na si Central Office ang in charge sa paglalagay ng project codes. So if makita natin na meron ng project code, ibig sabihin na po nun is pwede na nating simulan yung pagkukumpleto ng project profile, pag-update ng physical status and at the same time yung financial status. So ito lang yung ating mga sinusunod na steps in enrollment of the projects. Bali 6 lang siya. And including po yung paglalagay ng mga basic details, yung 8 basic details. So generally madali lang po, no. Again, basta meron na tayong naday, ilagay na po natin siya sa ating subaybayan and simulan na din po yung pag-update ng progress ng projects, no. So ipakita ko lang din, magkaroon din tayo ng short demo para merong visualization kung paano ba talaga para dun sa ating mga bagong participants na hindi pa familiar sa enrollment. Sige po, share screen ko lang po ulit. Kita po yung aking screen, Ayan, sige. So mabilis lang po ito. So again, for the first step is we need to go to the subaybayan.dilg.gov.ph and makikita nyo po. So again, any browsers will do. Kahit po Mozilla Firefox, Google Chrome, Safari, pwede po yan. Punta po tayo sa ating subaybayan website. And pag punta natin, ito yung pinaka-homepage. Kailangan po nating hanapin yung login button na nandito sa ating upper right ng screen. Pindutin natin as login. So, i-login natin ang ating mga LGU accounts. So, naggawa muna kami ng isang dami account po para meron kaming pang sample. So, ayan, ipasok ko po muna. And again, for the third step, actually yun yung second step, yung paglalagin. For the third step, yung left user panel, tingin tayo sa kaliwang screens natin. Piliin natin yung LGU enrolled project. Ayan, pindutin po natin. And proceed tayo sa fourth step. Ito yung create project sa right side ng inyong screen. Piliin po natin ulit. And nandito na po tayo sa mismong project creation page. So again, this is the page where inihingi na po yung mga basic details na discuss ko kanina. Yung location, name of program, project title, procurement type, description of project, funding year allocation, type of project, and subtype of project. So basically, yun yung mga steps na sinusundan natin in enrollment of the projects. So I hope po ay nasundan po ng ating mga participants yung mga steps na i-discuss natin. And that ends po my presentation. Mabilis lang siya. Again, konting steps lang po ang nire-require niya. So, thank you po ulit sa pag-invite sa amin, sa OPDS. Back to you, Ma'am Eunice.
Thank you po. And thank you po, Sir Arlan, for showing us how to enroll ang ating mga projects sa ating subaybayan system. So, ulitin ko lang po yung nabanggit ni Sir kanina. All enrolled projects po ay subject po ng approval ng DILG Central Office upon po ng and then yung project codes po natin ay will be provided po rin po ng ating DILG Central Office upon po ng enrollment ng projects. And then ang ating LGU po ay mag-start po ng enrollment of projects upon the receipt of the NEDI. Ayun, so para po di po tayo ma-overload ng ating information and ma-relax din po ang ating mga brain cells, ay may inihanda po kaming icebreaker po sa inyo. So I'll turn over to you, Engineer Ana Laris M. Pavilion, Engineer 4 of DILG Region 4A.
Hello, good morning po sa ating lahat. Ayan, katulad po ng sinabi ni Engineer Eunice, medyo madami na po tayong nalaman ngayong umaga, and to break the ice, atin pong iti-test kung gaano na po kadami yung atin pong nalaman ngayong umaga. So, magkakaroon po tayo ng atin pong icebreaker. So, para po sa ating icebreaker, magkakaroon po tayo ng ating pong Kahoot. So, marami naman po sa atin ang nakapaglaro na po ng Kahoot. So, inaanyayahan ko po ang lahat, those who are interested, to go to www.kahoot.it and enter the game pin 6515663. Ayan. So, yung mga questions po dito, I will focus mainly on the discussion of Sir James from DBM regarding the guidelines of the FY 2022 LGSF FA to LGUs. So, ayan, para po ma-review na rin po tayo dun sa mga na-discuss ni Sir James, tayo po ay magkaroon ng Kahoot. So, kailangan nyo pong kumuha ng phone nyo para dun po kayong mag-e-enter ng ating pong game pin. Again, go to www.kahoot.it and enter the game pin 6515663. So, tingnan po natin kung sino na po yung mga nakapasok sa ating pong game. Ayan. Thank you po sa mga sumasali at sasali pa. Again po, join at www.kahoot.it and enter the game pin 6515663. So, meron po tayong 10 questions and each question you will be given 20 seconds to answer po the question. So ito po ay to cover yung discussion again ni Sir James regarding the guidelines of LGSF FA FY 2022. So on time check po 10:05, so on 10:06 po. Yeah. Kung sino na lang po yung naka-enter sa atin pong game, sila lang po yung makakasali kasi start na po natin. Hindi na po natin hihintayin yung 589 participants na mag-join. Ayan, okay na po. 10:06 na po. Okay? Start ka na po. Okay, sige po. 10:07. So, ang price po nito ay meron sa GCash. But yung amount po, surprise na lang later. So, magkakaroon po tayo ng 3 winner. 10:07 po, mag-start na tayo. So on my clock, 10:06, sige po, yung interested po mag-join, lalong-lalo na po yung mga LGUs natin. 133 na po ang ating participants. Ayan. So, mag-start na po tayo. For the first question, this circular prescribes the guidelines and procedures on the release and utilization of FY22 LGSF FA to LGUs. So, paunahan po ito, no? Okay, 69 of our participants get the right answer. Ang tama pong answer ay LBC number 142. Ayan. So, madami po yung nakatanda kung ano po yung guidelines for FY 2022 LGSF FA to LGs. At tingnan po natin, sino ba yung nangunguna? So, si Beb. Next po si Ronen. Kakamping, Budbin, and si Pogi. Ayan. So, bawi po tayo sa next questions. For question number 2, this also serves as the APMB or Authority to Purchase Motor Vehicle for motor vehicles that fall within the authority of the BBN. Is it the NADAI, the SARO, confirmation letter, or the acknowledgement letter? So, the right answer po ay yung confirmation letter. Ayan. So, 35 po nakakuha ng right answer. Tingnan po natin ang ating pong scoreboard kung sino ang nangunguna. Nangunguna na po si Ronen. Next po si Beb, Pogi, Ryan, and alam mo ano. Ayan. Next question. True or false? The authority to purchase or applicable shall be sought after the posting of the invitation to bid request for quotation. Is it true or false? That's it. So, ang tama pong sagot ay false. Why? It should be before the posting of the invitation to bid request for quotation. So, kailangan po natin mag-apply for authority to purchase kung applicable po before the posting of the ITB or request for quotation. So, 44 po yung siguro nalito lang, no? 44 po yung nakakuha ng tamang answer. And ang ating pong scoreboard, nangunguna pa rin po si Ronen. Next po si Ryan. Oh, nandito po pala si Tony G. Next po si Beb and then si VL. Next question. Indicative ceiling in the evaluation of a special budget request of municipality. Is it 5 million, 20 million, 30 million, or 10 million? Okay po, marami na ako ng tamang answer. It's 10 million. Kasi yung 5 million po ay for barangay. Ang 20 million ay for city. Ang 30 million ay for province. And yung 10 million po ay for municipality. Ang ating pong scoreboard, wala pa rin nakakatalo po kay Ronen. Next po si Beb, tumaas ulit siya. VL, nawala si Tony G. Si Rena Pampulilio, and Viz. Next question. To view the FY 2022 FALGO, FY 2016 to 2020 should be fully disbursed and FY 2021 FALGO must have been blank percent obligated. 80%, 70%, 75%, or 90%. Or 3, 2, 1. Okay. So, ang tama pong sagot ay 70%. Ito po yung sinabi ka ni Sir James, no? Yung mga previous beneficiaries ng FALGO, they can still avail. Pero kailangan po na fully disbursed na yung kanilang 2016 to 2020 at yung 2021 nila ay 70% obligated. Next, okay po, yung ating pong scoreboard. Sino po ito si Rene, no? Ayaw talaga niya patalo. Nasa unahan pa rin po siya. Next si Bev, si VL, Rena Pulilio, and Viz. Parang hindi po nagbago yung ating scoreboard sa last question. Next question. Consistent with special provision number 3 of the FY22 GAA, the blank shall be responsible for the monitoring and evaluation of project implementation. Is it the DILG, the DBM, the LGU, or the DILG and DBM? It is the DILG who is responsible for the monitoring and evaluation of project implementation. So 64 po ang nakakuha ng tamang answer. And ang ating pong scoreboard, nangunguna pa rin po si Ronan, Bev, VL, Rena Pulilio, and may bago pong pumasok sa ating pong top 5 si Jim. For our next question, all special budget requests chargeable against the FY 2022 LGSF FA to LGUs shall be addressed to the blank. Kanino po dapat i-address yung request for FALGO 2022? Secretary of DILG, Regional Director of DBM, Secretary of DBM, or the Regional Director of DBM? Ang tama pong sagot should be addressed to the Secretary of DBM. So, 48 po ang nakakuha ng tamang answer. At ang ating pong scoreboard, tingnan natin kung nagbago ba. Ayan, si Ronen, Bev, VL, Jill, and Rena Pulilio. For the next question, ano po yung deadline for the submission of special budget requests under the FY 2022 LGSF FA to LGUs? Kailangan po natin itong malaman at tandaan. Kasi after this deadline, hindi na makikater yung atin pong mga requests for funding. Yes, tama po kayo. Ang deadline ay June 30, 2022. So para po sa ating scoreboard, ayan, si Ronen, Bev, VL, Jill, at pumasok na po ulit si Pogi. This is the second to the last question, which is not among the eligible projects under the FY 2022 LGSF FA to LGUs. Alin po yung hindi kasali? Based po sa ating LBC number 142. Ang tama pong sagot is the assistance programs and projects in light of COVID-19 pandemic. Ito po included last year, but for LDC number 142 ay hindi na po ito kasama sa eligible projects. Tingnan po ang scoreboard. Ayan, wala pa rin po nakatalo kay Ronen. Next po, VL, umaakyat si Pogi, si Alam Ano, and si Bev. For our last question, what is the validity period of the FY 2022 LGSF FA to LGUs fund? Kailan po ang validity period? Hanggang kailan? The validity period of the FY 2022 LGSF FA to LGUs fund is until December 31, 2023. 36 po nakakuha ng right answer. And tingnan na po natin ang ating pong podium kung sino yung top 3 na nangunguna. at magkakaroon po ng GCash prize. Congratulations po sa ating top 3. Si ang pang-second po natin ay si Pogi. And of course, ang atin pong winner ay si Ronen. Ayan. Thank you so much po sa inyong pag-participate sa ating icebreaker. So at least, reflect tayo dun po sa discussion ng LGC 142. The Secretariat po will okay. So ito pong tatlong to, pwede po ba maki-chat po sa ating po chat box para po malaman namin yung inyo pong mga GCash number for your prize. Again po, thank you.
Ayun. So, thank you, Engineer Loris, at sa ating mga participants. Sa mga nanalo po, please message na lang po sa ating PDMU team or kay Engineer Loris ang inyong mga number para may padala po namin ng inyong prizes. And so, to proceed po with our last topic, to discuss the Omnibus Election Code Prohibited Acts, please give virtual applause to Attorney Jonalyn S. Sabellano, Provincial Election Supervisor from the Commission on Elections of Quezon Province. Attorney, good morning po. Nakamute po kayo. Ayun.
So nakikita na po yung sa screen ang ang PowerPoint.
Yes po ma'am, pero naka-ano siya. Hindi po siya naka-slideshow.
Hindi siya naka-slideshow. Okay.
Ayun.
Okay na po.
Yes po.
Okay. Yes. Good morning, everyone. I'm Attorney Jonalyn S. Sabellano. I am the Provincial Election Supervisor of the province of Quezon. But I am actually the Provincial Election Supervisor of Batangas Province. So I was reshuffled very recently sa probinsya ng Quezon. So I will be discussing the prohibitions on public works when it comes to election period. So this will be covered by COMELEC Resolution number 10695, or in the matter of prescribing the calendar of activities and periods of certain prohibited acts in connection with the May 9, 2022 national and local elections. So as early as this resolution 10695, we already declared that there are prohibitions under the law in terms of public works. So particularly, COMELEC Resolution number 10747 will be our guiding guidelines, or the policy that would be followed in terms of public works. So the title of the resolution is The Rules and Regulations on Prohibition Against Release, Disbursement, or Expenditure of Public Funds and Construction of Public Works. Also, the delivery of materials for public works and issuance of treasury warrants and similar devices in connection with the May 9, 2022 synchronized national and local elections. So the provisions of the Omnibus Election Code that in general is covering this particular resolution is section 261, letter V and W of the Omnibus Election Code. So when we talk about public works, what do we have in mind? So public works would be, it would refer to infrastructure projects that is built by the government for public use and paid for by public fund. So these are the three matters that is very essential when we talk about public works. So infrastructure projects built by the government for public use and paid for by public fund. So, next. So, on the prohibitions, pag-usapan muna natin. Meron kasi tayong prohibitions, madami tayong prohibitions. Unang pag-uusapan natin yung release, disbursement, or expenditure of public funds. Ito ay covered ng Section 2 ng resolution. So, kailan effective itong prohibition na to? It will take effect on March 25, 2022 up to May 8, 2022. Bakit March 25, no? So March 25 is the start of the campaign period for the local candidates. Accordingly, ito po yung magiging start ng prohibitions natin on release, disbursement, or expenditure of public funds. Sino naman ang saklaw nitong prohibition na to? So, all public official or employee, including barangay officials and those in government-owned or controlled corporations. So, ito yung kailangan sumunod sa prohibitions. So, ano ba to? What are we talking about here? This is the prohibition to release, disperse, and expand any public fund for any and all kind of public works. So, medyo mahigpit siya, no? Pinagbabawal ang pag-release, paggastos ng public fund for any and all kind of public works. So, mahirap yan. Paano naman yung mga kinakailangan talaga natin? So, we have exceptions when we talk about the release, disburse, and expenditure of public funds. So, what are the exceptions? So, I have enumerated 6 exceptions. So, number 1, it is provided in Section 2 of Resolution number 747. Ang isa sa mga exception would be number 1, letter A. Any public work na ang kinutukoy lang niya ay maintenance. So maintenance of existing and or completed public projects can still be done provided ang labor dito ay not more than the average number of laborers, or di kaya they have been employed in the past 6 months prior ang March 25. So, tinitingnan natin dito kasi minsan ginagamit ang public works in electioneering. So, yun may mga requirements tayo para ma-exempt siya. And further, there shall be no additional laborers or that should be employed starting March 25 until May 8. So kahit na pwede tayo for purposes of maintenance, kailangan pa din hindi tayo magdadagdag ng tao during the period of March 25. So another exception, so yan po, maintenance. Another exception, works undertaken by contract through public bidding held by or negotiated contract awarded before the election ban. So dito, makikita natin pag nagawa na siya bago magkaroon ng public bidding or nagkaroon ng negotiated contract and awarded siya before the election ban, that is March 25, uubra pa rin po na i-pursue natin itong project natin na to. So number 3, ano pa yung pwede? Ano pa yung exception sa prohibition? Number 3 would be the payment for the usual cost of preparation for working drawings, specifications, bill of materials, estimates, and other procedures preparatory to actual construction before the election ban. So, kung mapapansin nyo, before the election ban po ito ulit. The same thing din po is true as to the employment of people para po dito. Bawal po ang mag-employ tayo during that time na dagdag na pagdating ng March 25. So another exception. Ito naman this is an obvious exception, no? Emergency work necessitated by the occurrence of a public calamity and limited to the restoration of the damaged facility. So kung nagkaroon ng emerhensya, kunwari nagkaroon ng paglindol at merong major thoroughfare na nasira. So there is a need na tayo po ay magkaroon ng public works. However, no payment shall be made within 5 days before the date of election to laborers. Baka naman kasi kung bibigay nyo yan within 5 days before election time or May 9, 2022, ang mangyayari nito, magmumukha siyang vote buying. So, between May 4 at saka 9, bawal pong magbayad sa mga laborers natin kahit na exempted itong public work na ginagawa natin. So, the prohibition shall not apply to ongoing public work projects commenced before the campaign period. At dito po, meron po tayong repertorial requirements. So another exception identified under resolution number 10747 is yung ongoing public work projects commenced before the campaign period under under foreign agreements. So kasama din po sa mga exempted yung mga projects na naumpisahan na bago mag-March 25 under foreign agreements. And last na exception natin sa prohibition would be ongoing public work projects and other similar projects commenced before the campaign period undertaken by the administration. So, ito po yung 6 na identified natin na exemption sa prohibition on public works. So, meron pa tayong isa pa. May 2 pa tayo. Very specific siya actually with 2 agencies. So, yung prohibition on release, disbursement, or expenditure of public funds under Section 2, Paragraph 2 of the resolution pertains particularly to the prohibition to release, disperse, and expend any public fund for the Department of Social Welfare and Development and any other agency or bureau in other departments of the government performing functions similar to the DSWD. So dito, bawal din sila between March 25 hanggang May 8. It would involve all public official or employees, including barangay officials. So, ano yung exception dito? Magkakaroon lang tayo ng exception kung ito ay ibinibigay sa una, salaries of the personnel, pangalawa, if the expense is routine and normal, at pangatlo, such other expenses as the commission may authorize after due notice and hearing. So, another agency, or social service agency ito, na kung saan merong prohibition. So, there is a provision to release, disburse, and expend and settlement agency or similar to DHSUD. So ano naman ang magiging exception? Una, gaya ng kanina, salaries of personnel, pangalawa, such other necessary administrative or other expenses as the commission may authorize after due notice and hearing. So, ito yung mga prohibitions. So, meron tayong prohibition pa na isa. So, yung prohibition natin against construction naman ito of treasury warrants and similar devices. So, ang prohibition natin, March 25 up to May 8. Any person prohibited to undertake the construction of any public works, except for projects or work as exempted, as I have mentioned earlier. So, lahat ng construction of any public works ay bawal, except doon sa nabanggit natin kanina. So another prohibition is to issue, use or of treasury warrants or any under future delivery of money, goods or other things of value chargeable against public funds. So alam na natin kung ano yung dahilan kung bakit bawal ito, especially dito sa treasury warrants or other similar devices. Kasi ito ay magiging dahilan ulit at magagamit ang public funds na magkakaroon sila ng advantage kasi gagamitin ito para for purposes of advancing a certain candidates election. So ito yung mga bawal. Construction of public works and the use of public funds. So, kahit na may mga bawal tayo, syempre may mga projects tayo that we want to be exempted from these prohibitions. Kailangan kasi pa rin natin ng continuity ng social services natin. So, who may apply for a certificate of exception? So, ito yung pwedeng mag-apply for exception. So, department secretaries, chief executives, heads of agencies, including government-owned and controlled corporations, government financing institutions, and state universities and colleges with public works projects falling under any of the exceptions I have mentioned earlier. So, paano nyo gagawin ito? Paano natin i-apply ito? Ito po ay ina-apply natin sa Campaign Finance Office sa main office. I-apply natin ito, pero bibigyan na natin ng kopya kasi marami tayong mga nasa LGU dito ngayon. Pag nag-apply tayo sa main office ng exemption, certificate of exemption, we have to furnish a copy of such application to the local COMELEC office. So kung kayo ay pursuing a project in the municipality, bigyan niyo po yung Office of the Election Officer ng kopya ng application. Kung ang project naman ay provincial level, you can submit the same to the Office of Provincial Election Supervisor. So, napakadali lang po ang pag-apply ngayon ng Certificate of Exemption. Because of the pandemic, meron na po tayong electronic halos lahat, no? So, you can apply for Certificate of Exemption through electronic filing. Pwede din pong personal submission of request at pwede din pong submission through registered mail or courier. Ang kailangan nyo pong mga forms for the purpose of the application for Certificate of Exemption na andyan po naka-attach lahat sa resolution natin. So you just have to check with comelec.gov.ph, look for resolution number 10747 at ang buong resolution plus the annexes will be there. So ano yung mga laman ng ano yung mga kasamang annexes? So may project compliance checklist, may notice and consent form, meron tayong order of payment, sworn statement undertaking, and certificate in lieu of supporting documents. So this is available sa resolution natin. Let me see, what time is it? 36. We'll discuss, I will go through Section 6 of Resolution 10747. Dito nakalagay lahat ng documentary requirements for issuance of a Certificate of Exemption. Example, for the maintenance of existing and or completed public works, ang kailangan nating documentary requirements would be, una, certified true copy of the letter of acceptance of the public work project. Second, certified true copy of the contract covering the maintenance work being done on the existing or completed public work project. So, isa pang documentary requirement, a notarized or sworn undertaking or commitment not to allow, hire or employ more than or additional number of employees or laborers to work during the period of the ban, that is March 25 to May 8. So ito yung mga documentary requirements for exemption by reason of maintenance of existing and or completed project. So ano naman yung gagawin mo if the project that you want to be exempted would be public work projects undertaken by contract through public bidding or by negotiated contract awarded. So one documentary requirement will be the certified true copy of the NOA or the Notice of Award. The second would be a certified true copy of the NTP or the Notice to Proceed. And the third requirement would be a certified true copy of the duly executed contract agreement. So tatlo din to. Ito din ang requirements kung ang gusto nyong i-exempt ay public works undertaken through public bidding or negotiated contract. So kung ang gusto nyo namang i-exempt or i-apply for exemption would be payment for the usual cost of preparation of public work, project for working drawings, specification, bill of materials, etc. So, ang first muna documentary would be a statement of account, billing or collection invoice showing the amount and date due, evidencing the payment required to be released during the period covering the ban. Yun yung unang requirement natin. Pangalawa, sworn or notarized undertaking or commitment not to hire or employ more laborers than the number of laborers at commencement date of the project. So these are the two requirements naman kung ang i-apply mo for exemption ay specification or bill of materials. So pang-apat, one of the exemptions would be if there is emergency work necessitated by the occurrence of a public calamity. So, una, a certified true copy of the executive order or the local sangguniang resolution declaring a state of calamity in the disaster-stricken area. The second requirement would be documentation showing the scope of the emergency work needed, which must be limited to the restoration of the damaged facility, including but not limited to a copy of the local disaster risk reduction and management plan.
Excuse me po, attorney.
Ang bayan resolution.
Attorney, excuse me po. Naka-freeze po yung slides.
For the emergency work restroom, it is all indicated in 10747. So, kailangan lang po natin isa-isahin siya at kung ano man yung mga forms na andon na kailangan, it is annexed in the same resolution. So, other than infrastructure projects, meron din tayong prohibitions in terms of non-infrastructure projects. So, ito naman, when we are going to apply for an exemption in infrastructure project, we are supposed to apply for the same in the CFO. So, pag pinag-uusapan naman natin ay non-infrastructure projects, kailangan nating i-apply ang exemption sa clerk of the commission. So, ang petition for issuance of certificate of exemption for social welfare projects and services, it should be filed in the clerk of the commission. So ano yung pinag-uusapan natin dito kung magsasabi tayo na na non-infrastructure project? So project and programs entailing the use of other state of public funds. So ito yung mga exemptions. So may projects, activities and programs that can be released, disbursed or expended kung nami-meet mo itong 5 requirement na to. So, you can do projects, programs, and activities, and it will be allowed provided you follow or you comply ito dito sa 5 activities na to. So, number 1, ang project, program, or activity mo is established before March 25, 2022, and it has been duly reported to the Commission on Audit pursuant to Item 2.1 of COA Circular Number 2013-004. So, yun yung una mong requirement to be exempted. So, second, public awareness and information dissemination activities conform to COA rules. So, kailangan din yan. Pag nagkaroon tayo ng, information dissemination, kailangan in accordance pa din COA rules. Pangatlo, at ito yung pinaka-importante, this is what we do not want to happen in our PPAs. It should not be used as an opportunity by any candidate to further their candidacy. So, any candidate, his or her spouse, family member, within the second civil degree of affinity or consanguinity, political parties, party list organizations, and their nominees, in order to further their candidacy, must, they sometimes would do personal appearance in events. Kunwari, magkakaroon tayo ng distribution ng food packs. Pag nagawa tayo ng ganito, candidates are not allowed to be there, even their spouses, even family members up to the second civil degree of affinity or consanguinity. So pag nagsabi tayong civil second degree, yan po ay second cousin. So hanggang sa first cousin, bawal po. Bawal po kayong mag-appear in a PPA na exempted dito sa resolution na to. Kasi pwede kasi nilang isabay ito. Magkakaroon ng election propaganda or materials during such activity. So, ang third na requirement for you to be exempted, ang PAP ninyo is, it should not be used as an opportunity by any candidate to further their candidacy. So, number 4 na requirement, it should not be used as a condition for the entitlement of the benefits from the PPA. So dito kailangan it should not be used to support for or endorse candidates, party list organization and political parties. PPAs natin. So that's the number 4 condition. The 5th could be candidates, party list nominees, their spouses, and members of their family within the second civil degree of affinity or consanguinity are strictly prohibited from participating directly or indirectly in the distribution of cash, goods, or merchandise for scholarships, assistance for burial, healthcare calamity, and other similar programs. So we are now in a pandemic. Baka sabihin naman, hindi naman kami nag-participate, virtual naman, so baka pwede pa rin. So we do not want you to circumvent the law just to be able to comply. So it is encompassing. So dapat wala talagang gagamit nitong mga PPAs natin or program and projects natin candidacy of any person or party. So these are the requirements so that your PPAs can be done even if there is a ban. So what are the other endeavor that or projects that can be done despite the prohibitions under Section 747? So the other exemptions are all under Section 15 to 18. Ang isang exemption natin would be public-private partnership and build, operate, transfer projects. So dito inaalaw natin if it's a project that is under the public-private partnership and build, operate, transfer. So another exemption to the prohibition would be irrigation projects. That's under Section 16. Another exemption would be the maintenance and other operating expense. So yung MOE na mga ginagamit natin, go pa rin po yan. So payment of salaries of government personnel, syempre, hindi tayo magsisweldo kung ipoprohibit natin ang pag-disburse or expend ng public funds for salaries of government personnel. So these are the projects. These are the activities that can still be pursued even if it's already March 25. So what will happen if you violate the resolution 10747? So meron tayong penal clause dito. In the event of a violation of the prohibitions under resolution number 747, there would be a possible penalty of imprisonment of not less than 1 year but not more than 6 years. So this is provided specifically under Section 261 and 264 of the Omnibus Election Code. So, ito po yung mga prohibitions natin. Ang bottom line lang dito is, we do not want that our public funds, public works, will be used to advance the interest of a candidate or a political party. Hence, the prohibition as provided under the law. And there would be exception, of course, to ensure that there is continuity in public service. So that would be all. Thank you.
Ayan, so thank you po attorney for that comprehensive presentation. And again po para sa ating participants, reminder lang po to fill out our attendance link na nasa chat box. We will send po ating mga presentation materials through email po. Ayan, so lastly po, dumako na po tayo sa ating last session ng ating activity, which is the open forum. May I turn over to you, Engineer Bettina Gisela Panya, Engineer 2 of the ILG Region 4A. Engineer Betts?
Yes, good morning po. Thank you, Engineer Kim. So, start off, kindly share po our G-slide na lang. Ayun po, may I request po a reaction from our RPs. Kung nandito pa po sila para po sa ating open forum. Ayun po, nakikita ko po si Sir James. Let me just check po ha. I believe si Sir Paul and si Sir R po from OPDS is nandito pa. And of course po, si attorney po. So yun, maraming salamat po sa ating mga RPs. So para po sa ating open forum, kinompile po namin yung mga questions po ng ating mga participants sa chat box. Sige po, proceed na po tayo with the first question. Bali po itong question na to is siguro po nung Wednesday, we tried to get questions na from the participants po. Ano lang po to, for information po natin mga RPs na nagpa-advance na po kami ng mga questions na baka sakali pong meron na sila when they read po our LBC 142. And po for the first question, may we know po the status of LGUs with SARO but no NCA yet for Falgo 2021? Marerelease pa din po ba ang pondo ng mga ito? So I believe po si Sir James po ang makakasagot nito. Sir James?
Hi, good morning po. Ang aming OIC chief po ay na-present po, si Ma'am Ella Obra po. Siya na lang po ang sasagot. Thank you po.
Okay, sige po. So good morning po, Miss Ella.
Good morning po sa ating lahat, sa mga participants po natin sa iba't ibang LGUs, sa mga staff po ng DILG, and sa mga speakers po from DILG Central and sa COMELEC. Regarding po dito sa first question, yung mga LGUs po na meron ng SARO last year, per information po from the LGRCB ay ongoing na po yung processing nila ng NCA. And if you would want to know the specific status of your request, pwede po kayong mag-email sa LGRCB. So, i-chat na lang po namin yung kanilang contact details sa chat box, including po their telephone number. Pero, yun po, ongoing na po yung processing ng NCA. Thank you po.
Yan, maraming salamat po, Miss Ella. So, yan po, para po sa mga LGUs na gusto pong mag-follow up, i-chat na lang po natin. I-chat na lang po ni Miss Ella yun pong contact information po kung saan po kayo pwedeng mag-follow up. So, I believe po that is email and contact number po. Ayan po, para po sa ating next question. Allowed po ba ang improvement or construction of barangay, municipal, or city halls? I believe this is for if pasok po ba siya sa menu ng LBC 142 po? So, sino pong sasagot? Si Sir James po o si Miss Ella?
James na lang po.
Okay, sige po. Sir James?
I think pasok po kasi under the enumeration po provided under LBC. Improvement, yes po. Ang nakalagay po dito is pwede pong construction, concreting, rehabilitation, repair, or improvement of multipurpose buildings, halls, facility, including daycare centers. So I think pasok po siya dito.
Additional lang po siguro, ma'am. Doon po sa request, siguro po wag po i-specify na barangay, municipal, or city hall siya kasi ang ano po natin dito is dapat multi-purpose building. If multi-purpose building naman po yung inyong barangay hall or city hall ay pwede naman po siyang ma-consider sa 2022 LGSF FA. Thank you po.
Yan po, maraming salamat po sa additional advice po, Miss Ella. So yan po, very clear. And then proceed po tayo sa susunod na question. So it was stated in LBC 142 that priority shall be given to LGUs which have not yet received any amount from FY 2016 to 2021 LGSF FA LGU. So with this, do said LGUs have to resubmit documents for their previously requested projects?
For this question, ma'am, yung mga LGUs po na hindi na-releasan or walang update from the 2021 LGSF FA, we encourage them po to resubmit na lang yung request nila for 2022 FALGU. Kasi 'di ba iba na po yung guidelines natin and iba na rin po yung project menu. So mag-resubmit na lang po kayo for 2022 FALGU.
Ayan po. So Ulitin ko lang po ha, mag-resubmit na lang po tayo if hindi po tayo nakakuha ng any response po from DBM para po ma-avail natin ito pong LGSF FA to LGUs 2022. Yan po, proceed po tayo sa susunod na tanong. Ayan po, so hindi pa po siguro nakapagpalit ang ating participant nung nakapagbigay po siya ng question. So any updates sa FALGO 2022 request ng LGU Jumalig Quezon sa DBM?
For the specific status po of your LGU, currently po kasi wala pong hawak na data ang regional office on the specifics. We recommend you po to directly get in touch with the LGRCB. James, pa-send na lang yung email ng LGRCB and yung contact number nila sa chat box. Thank you po.
Yan, maraming salamat po, Miss Ella. So actually, very, kailangan binibigyan talaga ng emphasis na ang relay po ng ating documents talaga and the process and status of our submissions is really between the LGU and the central office of DBM. So talaga pong nililimit talaga nila yung kung sino ang pwedeng makaalam po ng status natin at saka po yung mga nag-follow up. So talaga po, we really encourage na kapag po meron tayong mga kailangan i-follow up, is we follow up it on the central office of DBM po. Ayan po. So maraming salamat po again, Miss Ella. Proceed po tayo sa susunod na tanong. So this is from LGU Mauban. So Miss Zara Aman. So good AM. So good morning po. Ask ko lang po, on report on fund utilization format, hindi kasama si accountant. Trust fund disbursement ay hindi po dumadaan sa budget. Sino po ang dapat mag-prepare ng report on fund utilization? So thank you.
As prescribed po doon sa ating local budget circular nga po, the utilization report will be prepared by the local finance committee. So nandun po si local budget officer, si local treasurer, and sino pa nga ba yung isa? Asan na yun? Local planning nga po yata. Ayun, local planning. And then as attested po by the local chief executive. Although hindi po included si local accountant dito sa mga signatories or doon sa mga personnel na magpre-prepare, ay pwede nyo naman po siyang i-involve and i-include among the signatories. Kasi yung nakalagay lang po sa ating annex ay yung minimum requirement. So you could add po si local accountant among the signatories. Thank you po.
Yan po. So sana po, clear na po kay Miss Zara. Proceed po tayo sa susunod na tanong. This is from Engineer Yara of DILG Quezon po. So good morning po. In case na ang LGU po ay may na-submit na complete documentary requirements, tapos wala po sila na-receive ng confirmation letter from DBM, paano po nila malalaman ang reason kung bakit di na-approve ang request?
As to the reasons, engineer, ayun po, we would still advise the LGUs to contact po yung LGRCB to know ano ba yung mga naging kulang or ano ba yung mga naging rason bakit hindi sila naka-receive or hindi na-approve yung kanilang FALGO request for 2021 po. Pasensya na po, medyo limited po kasi yung aming information on this. So, yun po, get in touch lang po with the LGRCB. Very responsive naman po sila.
Yan, thank you, Miss Ella. So again, talagang kailangan talaga natin bigyan ng emphasis na kailangan talaga ang inyong communication, ang LGU communication nyo po ay talagang with DBM Central Office po, specifically LGRCB. Sige po, proceed po tayo sa susunod na tanong. From LGU San Juan, Ma'am Mona Lisa, we submitted request with complete documents for 2021 LGSF directly to DBM Central Office. We haven't received any communication whether our request is granted or not. Shall we make a follow-up or is it considered denied? Thank you. So I believe, Miss Ella, this is same concern lang po with the previous question po ni Engineer Yara. So again po, ganun po ulit. Kung may questions or clarifications, talaga po, please contact LGRCB of DBM Central Office po.
Pero siguro...
Yes po.
Sorry ma'am. Pero siguro po, for those na hindi po naka-receive ng confirmation letter or hindi na-approve, walang update on their FALGO request, siguro po mas okay na lang din na mag-resubmit po kayo ngayong 2022. Kasi if in case naman po na ma-approve or na-approve yung 2021 LGSF ninyo, edi hindi na i-approve yung 2022 FALGO ninyo kasi bawal naman yung dobleng pondo. So mag-resubmit na lang po kayo para mas sigurado po.
Ayan po, maraming salamat po Miss Ella. So siguro naman po madali na po ang ating pag-resubmit kung kumpleto na po ang ating mga requirements dahil nakapag-submit nga po tayo ng 2021. Ayan po, so this is from CB Dan from DILG Lucena. So good AM po, kailangan po pala ang participation ng LPMC sa monitoring of project. So I believe po this is for Engineer Paul from OPDS po. So Engineer Paul.
Hello, good morning po ulit. So yun po, no, tama po si Sir, no. I believe this is much more or less like na-realize ni Sir na kailangan ng LPMC. So one of the mandates po talaga ng ating LPMC is to monitor yung project natin, no? Project monitoring committee po siya, Sir, no? Kaya dapat po, per guidelines, meron tayong may issue na yung parang order siya na ma-establish or i-establish dapat sa local government unit nyo po yung LPMC. Which is, one of the responsibilities yun nga is to monitor yung ating project po. So yun lang po, ma'am.
Maraming salamat po for clearing it up, Engineer Paul. Proceed po tayo sa susunod na question. So this is from LGU Lobo, Miss Cynthia Maranan. So last orientation for Subaybayan and RSSA, we requested and asked about the signatory since our office MBDO is the implementing office in many projects. And they said they will brought out our concern in the higher authority. So ano po kayang status? So siguro po si Sir R po ang makakasagot po nito. Tama po ba, Engineer Paul?
Yes po.
Yes. Excuse me, sir. Sorry. Ayan, good morning po kay ma'am. Ayan, from LGU Lobo na si Ma'am Cynthia, no. So actually ito pong issue na ito has been raised na sa higher authorities, and in fact nadagdag na po siya sa ating rasa. Ang pinadagdag po natin na signatory is dalawa. Una po is yung city or MPDO or MPDC. Pangalawa po is yung C or municipality DRRMO. So dalawa po yung nadagdag. So yun po. So with your concern na MPDO is wala pa sa signatories, nakadagdag na po siya sa rasa. You may check it now po. Thank you.
Yun, maraming salamat po, Sir R. So proceed po tayo sa susunod pong question. From MPDO Teresa po. So who will prepare the Annex 1.1? So local engineer po ba? Sir Paul?
Yan. Nakita ko rin ito kanina. No? So ma'am, good morning po, no? Ang ating mga checklists, especially itong Annex 1.1 po natin, ito po ay ginagamit ng ating mga DILG field officers. With that, si MLGOO po na part ng LPMC ang unang nagsasagot dito. So, yung sa LPMC po kasi kasama po dyan, no? Yung composition niyan, kasama po dyan yung ating MLGOO. So, dun po, kaya po, yung LPMC natin, may responsibility rin siya na mag-prepare ng Annex 1. Kasi, kumbaga, part of a whole na po siya, no? Parang grupo na po siya. Pero po, dun sa question niyo po, who will prepare the Annex 1.1? Siyempre po, LPMC po yan. Pero guided po yan ng ating field officer na sa level po ng ating local government unit, which is yung ating MLGOO. And also, yung ating engineer din ng DILG po. Yun po, ma'am. Sana po masagot yung question natin.
Yan, thank you, Sir Paul. So I believe malinaw naman po. Ayan, proceed po tayo sa susunod na tanong. So from LGU San Mateo, so mabuting araw po. So good morning din po. If would be possible po that the LGU comply all the documentary requirements prior on the 70% dispersed in the previous FY 2021 LGSFFA, the submitted and posted Annex E pro forma monthly reports, and Annex C quarterly reports will be our basis for our monitoring. Lastly po, ongoing po ang fund utilization ng aming FY 2021 LGSF to FA-LGU Social Services. Included po ito during the election ban, March 25, 2022 to May 15, 2022 as provided in the section 261 of the Omnibus Election Code. Thank you po. So I believe siguro po would it be possible that the LGU comply all the documentary requirements prior to the 70% disbursed in the previous FY 2021 LGSFFA. So medyo nakakalito lang po, pero I believe parang ang pinakatanong po kung ang magiging basis po nung ating 70% dispersed is the Annex E and the Annex C quarterly reports. Tama po ba, Sir James? Yun po yung magiging basis po nung ating 70% dispersed.
Yes po.
Ayun po. So actually, concern po ito na na-raise na din sa akin last week na yun nga po, ongoing yung fund utilization for FY 2021 LGSFFA to LGU Social Services. And then po, mako-cover po siya ng election ban. So kapag po ba ganito, Sir James, may consideration po ba ang BBM? Ayan po, Miss Ella.
Ayun. Sorry po, na-lowbat lang po. Good morning po ulit. Dito, for 2021 LGSFFA po, hindi naman po necessary na disburse na siya. 70% obligated lang po yung requirement per LBC 142. So, kailangan lang po dapat upon submission po ninyo nung mga documentary requirements for 2022 FALGU ay 70% obligated na po.
Ayun po. So maraming salamat po. I believe LGU San Mateo is raising his hand po. So sige po, you may unmute. Nakakapag-unmute po ba, Engineer Kim, ang ating mga participants? Ayun po, nakakapag-unmute naman po. Ayun po, so good morning po.
Yes po, good morning po. Yun po. So, narinig po ba?
Yes po, loud and clear po.
Okay po. So, clarify ko lang po yung question na magiging basis po namin yung Annex E and Annex C na basis po namin para po ma-monitor yung aming 70% obligated po ng previous LGSF FALGU. So, pwede po bang mag-submit ng advance documentary requirements para makakuha po ng another makapag-propose ng another projects for FY 2022 142 LBC 142. And next question po namin is ongoing po yung utilization ng aming FALGU social services po. Included po ba ito during the election ban? As provided nga po dun sa ating omnibus election code. So
okay,
pwede po i-utilize implementing continuously on March 25 to May 15, 2022.
Ayun po, sige po, hatiin ko po yung question nyo ha, kasi po dalawang resource person po natin yung sasagot. So unahin na po natin yung kung possible po na makapag-submit po sila ng advance copy. So i-clarify ko lang po when you say po advance copy, nung isasubmit nyo po, you will specify po na 70% obligated na po when you submit. Tama po ba?
Hindi pa po, ma'am.
Okay po. What do you mean po, sir, when you say advance copy po? Yung
At this moment po, January po is 14.50% pa lang po yung na-utilize po namin. So magko-comply na po kami in advance sa mga documentary requirements para sa proposal ng next FALGU 2022. Yun po.
okay, sige po. So, Miss Ella, so mukhang kayo po ang sasagot po dito.
For that issue po, siguro po dapat consistent kung ano talaga yung ilang percent yung obligated ninyo Hindi naman po siguro pwede na hindi pa siya 70% obligated, pero yun yung i-reflect natin doon sa utilization report natin. So ayun po, Annex B po siya no, LBC 142. So dapat kung 14%, dapat isakto po natin. Dapat 70 talaga siya, 70% obligated for 2021 kasi yun po yung required under our current guidelines po.
Knowledge po.
Ayan po, and then for the second part of the question po of LGU San Mateo, may I call on po Attorney Sabeliano po. If covered po, if covered po yung kanilang social services sa atin pong election ban on March 25 to May 15 po. Nandito pa po ba si Attorney? Baka po siguro nagfa-fluctuate lang po yung internet ni Attorney. Ano po? Kasi kanina po nung nagre-report siya, medyo nagfa-fluctuate po. Siguro, is it okay po for LGU San Mateo na balikan na lang po natin once po makabalik po si Attorney Sabeliano? Ano po?
Okay po, noted po.
Okay po, sige po. Miss Kim, paki-remind na lang po ulit ako na may babalikan po tayong question for LGU San Mateo para po kay Attorney. Ngayon po, sige, proceed po tayo sa susunod na tanong. From LGU Amadeo po. Good morning, sir or ma'am. Regarding po sa Subaybayan Portal dito sa LGU Amadeo, Cavite, meron project po dito na naka-enroll sa portal namin. Project po ng Provincial Engineering Office. Sila po ang implementing agency. Wala po mga data naka-input sa projects. Hindi naman po namin malagyan ng data kasi po wala kaming data na available sa amin. Ito po ang aming tanong. Ano po kaya possible effect ng sa portal namin? So Sir R, sige po, you may answer.
Hi. Hello ma'am, magandang umaga po ulit. Regarding po dito sa projects na provincial implemented pero nag-a-appear sa mga municipal accounts natin. Ito po 'yun ano. Actually, this has been raised na many times, hindi lang po sa Region 4A. So, actually, inaayos na po siya ng ating ISTMS. Last week, nagkaroon kami ng meeting. So, isa ito sa mga agenda, yung pag-aayos po nito. So, meron na pong mga naka-prepare na procedures. Magkakaroon ng minimal changes para maka-classify natin yung mga projects na municipal and provincial implemented. So eventually po maayos po iyan, matatanggal po yan sa inyong accounts. Pero yung hindi po possible na alisin natin yung municipality dun sa project profile kasi yun po yung sinasuggest nung iba. That is for the purpose of maintaining the complete project profile. Hindi po natin nire-recommend na alisin yung municipality. So yun po ma'am, eventually po maayos po itong issue na ito sa Subaybayan. Thank you po.
And maraming salamat po, Sir R. I believe si Engineer Eman from PO Quezon, ganito din yung question niya kanina, nabasa ko eh. Sige, madadaanan naman natin yon. So again, thank you, Sir R. So proceed po tayo sa next question. From LGU Sampalo, Quezon po. Kailangan po ba i-request sa COMELEC for exemption yung naka-indicate sa exemption? For LGU Sampalo, Quezon po, so kinukontak lang po namin si Attorney. So, again po, just like with the question po ng San Mateo, balikan na lang po namin to. Sige po, proceed po tayo sa susunod na tanong. So, mukhang double check lang natin kung baka naka-reconnect na po si Attorney. This is from Engineer Randolph Torres. So, kasama ba sa election ban yung financial assistance projects under FALGU Program 2021, lalo na po yung assistance na as need arises basis like burial, medical, and transportation. So, this is for Attorney again. Pero I believe hindi pa po siya nakakabalik. Yan po, sige, Engineer Randolph, so balikan na lang po natin ito kapag po nakabalik na po si attorney. Ayan po, sige, proceed po muna tayo, Sir Top, sa susunod na question. So, I believe this is for attorney ulit. So, sige, basahin ko na lang po. So, LGU Sampaloc, Quezon, ang celebration po ba ng festival celebration ay hindi kasama sa exemption? And DSWD funded supplementary feeding po ba ay kasama sa exemption? Exemption, nag-start po ng January and will last until April. Sige po, from LGU Sampaloc, babalikan po natin to kapag po naka-reconnect na po si attorney. Sige po, next po, baka meron pa. So, LGU Paite, does AIC includes the prohibitions under MSWD, all AICS programs? Sige po, babalikan din po natin to from LGU Paite. Yan po, siguro refreshing lang. Let me just call on attorney Sabeliano, nandito na, nakabalik na po ba kayo? So sige, hintayin lang po natin. Sige po, proceed po ako from ALD Ingal, from Morong Rizal po. In case the LCE is not a candidate for re-election, can the LGU grant donation/financial assistance AIC, which is regular disbursement prior to election, and vice versa if the incumbent LCE is running for elective position? So I believe kay attorney din po ito. So sige po, proceed po tayo. Baka meron pong natitirang questions for our DBM and OPDS resource persons. So from RPG PPDO Camila, ask lang po namin if pwedeng by courier ang information letters addressed to concerned national offices like House of Representatives, Senate, etc. So I believe po this is in reference po with the posting and repertorial requirements. Sir Paul, Engineer Paul?
Sige ma'am, sagutin na natin. With regards dito ma'am sa information letters, kasi dun sa LBC ma'am nakasulat written notice no? So siguro dapat lang po talaga ma'am na by courier siya, no? Kung kaya nyo i-hand carry, mas maganda para diretso na sana dun sa mga offices. Pero okay lang na siguro yung courier. Kasi we have examples naman na pagka may regional offices nagpapadala sila by courier din. So as long as ma'am na ma-receive sila as long as ma'am siguro na ma-receive yung written notice, that would be valid naman po eh. Yun na lang po ipakita natin na nakapag-issue tayo ng written notice during the checklist po, no? Yun po ma'am.
Yun po, so maraming salamat po Engineer Paul. Proceed po tayo sa susunod pong question. From DILG Amadeo po, paano po kung ongoing na ang projects? Can we proceed or stop the actual implementation during election ban? Is there FALGU for 2022? So, I believe po kay attorney din po nagre-rest tong question na to. So, sige po, proceed po tayo sa susunod na tanong. So, from LGU Macalelan po, allowed po ba in disburse and FALGU under LBC 130 for projects na ongoing as of December 31, 2021? Allowed po bang i-disburse ang FALGU 2021 under LBC 130 for projects na ongoing as of December 31, 2021?
Good morning po. For financial assistance, I think yung LBC 130 ay yung FA charge against the NDRRMF. Ang nakalagay po kasi doon sa ating circular is yung disbursement po ng fund is until December 31, 2021 only. So we have to abide with that po. And yun, yung validity po kasi ng ating FY 2020 GAA na kung saan chinarge po itong ating financial assistance ay hanggang December 31, 2021 lang po. Thank you po.
Yun po, maraming salamat po, Miss Ella. So clear naman po no na until December 31, 2021 lang po yung disbursement. Proceed po tayo sa susunod pong question. From Ms. Joseda Mendoza. For clarification po para kay Attorney Jonalyn, ayan po, naka-indicate na about AICS in cash or in kind po. Ayun po, nandyan na po si Attorney. So Attorney, medyo madami pong question. Medyo madami na po question.
Ano yung AICS?
Sige po, is Miss Joseda Mendoza here po? You may unmute po para po pa-clarify po kay attorney po yung ating concern. Hello po, baka po nandyan na po si Miss Joseda Mendoza.
Yung ano natin yung basic natin kasi kanina yung naabutan ko yung yung nawawala kasi ako yung ongoing projects. So yung sa ongoing public work projects natin, basta naumpisahan na siya, it can be undertaken still. It can be done. So long as may prohibition lang tayo doon sa personnel natin, sa workers natin. Kailangan kung sino yung workers natin noon, we should maintain it. Yung average number of workers natin. There should be no increase during the period of the prohibition or March 25, starting March 25. Hindi natin pwedeng stop yung projects natin just because it's election period. Ang ipinagbabawal lang ng batas ay magkaroon ng project during the period of prohibition that is March 25. So kung ongoing na, you can still proceed with your project so long as meron tayong control sa workers natin. Kasi kung ongoing yan at i-allow yan, pwede yon. Pero pag ginamit kasi yan, kunwari magdagdag ka ng trabahador, nagpapagawa ka ng daan, in the past 100 people are working on it. Pagdating ng March 25, dinagdagan mo siya, ginawa mong 200. So there is a possibility, there is reason to believe that you are using that particular project for electioneering. So we can still proceed with the ongoing project, pero meron tayong conditions that we have to comply. So yun po yung kailangan natin. For the non-infrastructure naman, the same thing is true with yung sa maintenance ng projects natin, no? Kailangan magko-comply din tayo with certain conditions. Kasi mga nagawa na yan naumpisahan na yan Meron meron ng budget yan Meron na tayong ibinigay na na NOAA diyan at saka NTP. So talagang we can proceed with it. For non-infrastructure naman, usually kasi mga isipin na natin yung mga nagbibigay ng backpack during start of classes na pwede din namang nasa period na yon, no? So that would be included in the projects, programs, and activities. So ang sabi ko nga kanina, it can still be done, but you have to comply with the 5 conditions or 6 conditions as provided. 5 conditions as provided by Resolution 747, particularly doon sa Section 14. So, yun. Kailangan established siya before March 25. Reported ito sa COA in accordance with the COA rules. Pangalawa, yung public awareness or information dissemination regarding your project must likewise comply with the regulations of COA. Pangatlo, wag nating gawin yung project natin na to as an opportunity for any candidate to advance their candidacy. How do they do that? So kunwari magkakaroon ng distribution ng certain goods or backpacks or ganyan para sa mga kabataan. So hindi pwedeng pag nag-distribute dito ay kasama si kandidato. Bawal din ang spouse, bawal din ang kamag-anak up to the 2nd degree lang. Tapos ang gagawin nila, andun sila, naka-exhibit yung mga mukha nila, magsasabay sila, magbibigay sila ng mga ng mga campaign materials nila. So Pangatlong kondisyon to, hindi dapat gawing oportunidad para mag-advance ng candidacy nila in the implementation of our PPAs. So, pang-apat, yung support for or endorsement sa isang kandidato or party list ay hindi dapat gamitin ito para mag-benefit ka sa PPA. So, pang-lima, candidates, party list, and their spouses and family members should not participate directly or indirectly sa distribution ng cash goods or merchandise. So, lahat ng projects that has commenced or completed na yung completed, so maintenance na lang, lahat yun pwedeng gawin. So long as you comply with the conditions and you apply for exemption doon sa particular na project mo na to. At saka yung exemption naman, it's not very difficult. Even the fees that we need to pay for this is just 500 pesos. So gawin na lang natin because this particular resolution is created to ensure that we do not abuse income. That's isinabay itong prohibition na public works.
Ayun po, bali po attorney, para po dun sa AICS, so ang ibig sabihin po ay assistance to individuals in crisis situations.
Yun naman yung sa DSWD, di ba? Usually kasi isa sa mga DSWD na project, no, or sa local.
For clarification po about the AIC in cash or in kind, kailangan po ba talaga ng date of stoppage? Siguro po, more or less po ito ay local. Ayun po, local daw po.
Siya. So, ang dito na, kailangan po ba ng date ng stoppage ng distribution para sa ating constituents? Ang kailangan lang naman natin kasi, we do not do distributions in the guise of social assistance. Yun lang naman yung ipinagbabawal yon. Kung locally funded man yan, so long as it has been approved by the sanggunian or the chief executive prior to the commencement of the prohibition on the ban, pwede yan. As long as kaya mo siyang ipasok doon sa exemption natin sa prohibition. So ano 'yon? Kung routine at saka normal naman ninyo na expenditure, pwede nating ipasok 'yon sa sa activity ninyo. Kaya kahit na magbigay kayo ng cash assistance, kung March 26 man yan, within the campaign period or prohibited period, it can be done. Kung ito ay your routine and normal na activity or expense in your LGU. So kailangan pa rin siya. You have to be very mindful of the reason behind the prohibition. Ayaw nating magamit ang public fund to advance the interest of private individuals or candidates na nasa posisyon. So, ini-equal natin yung playing fields for our candidates.
Yan po. So, maraming salamat po, attorney. Bali po, attorney, medyo madami na po kaming na-skip na tanong po for you. Medyo madami pong tanong ng ating mga participants. So, Sir Toff, balik na po natin sa San Mateo, yung kauna-unahan po nating na-miss, para po mabalikan na po ni yung kay attorney po.
Mag-off lang ako ng video kasi nawawala ako.
Sige po ma'am, no? Okay lang po. Ayan po, attorney, para po sa tanong po ng LGU San Mateo, ongoing po yung fund utilization ng aming FY 2021 LGSF to FALGU. Social services po yung kanilang pangalan nito? Classification ng project. So included po ba ito sa during ng election ban as provided in section 261 of Omnibus Election Code?
Yan po ay papasok yan sa section 2 number 2 kung saan ano siya, yung any other office, agency or bureau performing functions similar to the DSWD. So pag ang pinag-uusapan natin ay financial assistance, it can still be exempted so long as it belongs to either una, salary of personnel, second, it is a routine and normal expense. Pangatlo, such expense is authorized by the commission after due notice and hearing. So, if I were you, if I were to spend money or disburse
Na wala po on my end.
Dapat at kung kayo, if you are in doubt, you have to first ask for the exemption from the commission. Mabilis lang naman ito, mabilis naman siyang ang importante dito, you have filed your request for exemption for that particular activity or project.
Yun po, maraming salamat po, attorney. So, tama po yung yung nasabi po ni attorney, when in doubt, ask po yung exemption from the commission. So,
kasi normally kasi it can be used kasi for example, yung mga relief operations, distribution ng yung sa victims ng calamity, yun yung usual na pwedeng paggamitan kasi ng mga financial assistance. So just the same, yun nga, ang kailangan natin, we have to follow the rules and we have to make sure na ginagawa natin ito based doon sa resolution number 1074. Kasi ang kadalasan naman in cases like kasama sa provision, in the event sa
Naku, attorney, nawala po on my end. Hello po.
Hello.
Ayan po, ayan.
Naririnig.
Opo.
Yun. Have 3 exemptions para sa expenses natin sa social work or social services natin. Yun yung diniscuss ko kanina. Pero in the event talaga na there is a need to spend because there's a calamity, there is a need to distribute relief goods. The Philippine National Red Cross, subject to the supervision of the Commission on Appointment, Commission on Audit, or its representative, they can do the same. They can do the work for us. Pero never talaga na a candidate would do that. The release of the distribution of a financial assistance or kahit na hindi financial or in the form of goods.
Ayun po, bali po for your information na lang din po, attorney, ito po kasing 2021 LGSF Falgo ng San Mateo, assistance to indigent individuals po ito in the form of medical, burial, transportation, food assistance, cash for work, and educational assistance. So,
yun, for example, that one, alam naman natin na it has been a routine and normal expense that could be exempted under section 2, number 2.
Okay.
Kasi routine siya at saka normal expense eh.
Ayun po. Sige po, attorney. So, thank you po for that. So, I believe malinaw naman po. Very clear naman po yung pagkaka-explain po ni attorney. So, sige po, proceed na po tayo sa susunod po na question. Regarding po sa subaybayan. Sige, next po tayo, sir. Kailangan po ba mag-request? Kailangan pa po bang mag-request sa COMELEC for exemption if naka-indicate na sa exemption?
Yes po, lalo na pag ika-conduct nyo yung activity from March 25 to May 8.
Ayun po. So, kahit na po nasa list siya ng exemption, i-apply na po natin. Katulad naman po ng sinabi ni attorney, madali lang naman po yung ating application po for exemption. Ayun po, next po tayo. Sige po, fast track na po natin. I believe ito pong question po ni Engineer Randolph is the same case po with our LGU San Mateo. Same lang din yung project no. So assistance na as need arises basis like burial assistance, medical and transportation. So mukhang attorney pasok po to sa routinary, tama po?
Yeah, routine and natin na ginagawa.
Ayan
Routine
po.
and normal expense natin.
Yun po, maraming salamat po. Sige po, proceed po tayo sa susunod na tanong. Ito po, ang celebration po ba ng festival ay kasama sa exemption? And DSW funded supplementary feeding po ay kasama sa exemption. Nag-start po ng January and will last until April po.
Yes po, kung naumpisahan na po natin, tuloy-tuloy na po yan. Pwede na po yan.
Yung festival po kaya, attorney, kasama po daw sa exemption?
Ano kayang festival yan sa Sampaloc, Quezon?
Sipo ba sakaling...
Ano yung activity natin? Ano yung activity natin in connection with the festival?
Sige po, any representative po. Ayan, April po ang festival. Ano daw po yung activity natin when regarding the festival po?
Project activity or program natin that we want to clarify whether it's exempted or not?
Contest po ng pahiyas.
Ay, palagi naman yan eh. So, routinary na yan na program eh.
So, ibig sabihin po, apply na lang po sila for exemption din po, kasi pasok naman po. Ayun po, sige po, proceed po tayo sa susunod na tanong. Does AIC includes in the prohibition under MSWD?
Ayun yung kanina, di ba?
Ayun po yung kanina.
Financial assistance.
Ayan po, sige po, proceed po tayo sa susunod na tanong. So basta po, remind ko lang po na katulad po sabi ni attorney, pag routine naman po natin siya na expense, so i-apply na lang po natin ng exemption. Saka po, again, when in doubt, apply po natin ng exemption. So this is from Morong Rizal. In case the LCE is not a candidate for re-election, can the LGU grant donation or financial assistance, AIC, which is regular disbursement prior to election? So I believe po papasok din po to sa routine expenses po and vice versa if the incumbent
whether kasi candidate or not, ang bottom line natin dito, public fund yung gagamitin. So we have to be mindful dun sa pag-disburse natin ng public fund. So pasok pa rin yan whether candidate or not.
Ayun po, so clear naman po. So again, when in doubt, apply po natin for exemption po. So next po na question. Ito po, tapos na po ito. Answered by Sir Paul na po. Next po. Paano po kung ongoing na yung projects? Can we proceed or stop the actual implementation during election ban? So I believe po, nasagot na po to ni attorney. Na
Still proceed. So long as tawag mo doon, na-comply mo yung requirement na kailangan sa iyo. Na walang additional workers, bawal ang pakyaw, agreement, meron kang proof that it has been ongoing.
Ayun po. So clear naman po. Again po, next question na po tayo. This is answered na po by Miss Ella. So next question po. Ito po yung dinatnan po ni attorney. So sige po, proceed na po tayo sa susunod na tanong. Included po ba sa prohibitions and disbursement for social funds ang AII? Yun po. So answered na din po ito na basta routine expense po, i-apply na lang po for exemption. From Gloria Bellarmino po, lahat po ba ng infra projects na may notice to proceed na before March 2025 ay hindi na kailangan i-request for exemption?
Lahat po ba ng infra project na may notice to proceed before March 25 ay hindi na kailangang i-request for exemption? May notice to proceed pa lang, wala pa hindi pa nag-commence?
Siguro po, ipalagay na po natin doon po sa ganong senaryo po, na may entity pa lang po siya before March 25. If entity pa lang po, attorney, tas hindi pa po talaga siya actual na nagsa-start, hindi po pwede.
Pwede siya, kaya lang you have to still apply for exemption. Kasi ang general rule natin, bawal talaga ang public works from March 25. So kung merong ongoing na public works dyan, ibig sabihin, it is exempted from the prohibition on public works. When you are exempted, it doesn't mean that it's just gonna be automatic. So kailangan may verification yan whether you comply with the exemption conditions. So kailangan maibigay din sa COMELEC kung ano yung mga public works na to. So, kailangan pa rin natin. The reason why we are applying for exemption is para may notice ang COMELEC about the existing public works na kasama siya sa exempted. Kailangan pa rin natin siyang i-apply.
Ayan po. So, very clear naman po. Proceed po tayo sa susunod na tanong. From LGU Pakil po kay Ma'am Cecilia, nahihirapan po ang LGU sa NADAY. Sino at kanino po ba ipinapadala ang NADAY?
Good morning po, Ma'am Cecil. For the notice of authority to debit account issued, ma'am, ang nag-i-issue po nito sa LGU ay ang Bureau of the Treasury po. So, coordinate na lang po kayo, ma'am, sa provincial. Tama ba? May provincial treasury po. I could also send you na pre-provide po nila dati. So, sa BTR po tayo mag-coordinate.
Ayun po. So, thank you for clarifying that, Miss Ella. So, proceed po tayo sa susunod na tanong. From LGU Sampaloc, Quezon po again. Pakilinaw po yung Section 104 of EOC. Naka-indicate po doon ay donations by candidates, treasurer, of parties or their agents. Ibig sabihin po ba ay hindi kasama dito yung provision of AICS na binibigay ng LGUs sa mga nangangailangan? Attorney?
Pakita po ang Section 104 of the election EOC, naka-indicate po doon ay donations by candidates, treasurers of party or their agents. Ibig sabihin po ba ito ay hindi kasama dito ang provisions of AICS na binibigay ng LGU sa mga nangangailangan. Ang mga donations po kasi na ini-indicate dito are private donations, I believe. Kaya hindi po siya kasama, hindi siya saklaw nung prohibition natin ng under 10747. It is covered by a different resolution. So bawal pa din po siya pero hindi siya yung kayang i-exempt under this one.
So, sige po, attorney.
Bawal. So yan ay completely bawal.
Okay po. Clear naman po. So yun po. So bawal daw po, sabi ni attorney. Ito pong question po na from LGU Sampaloc. Sige po, proceed po tayo sa susunod na tanong para po maubos natin. From LGU Louisiana po kay Miss Judith. Yung sa election ban on disbursement for public works, tama po ba ang understanding ko na yung 6 items including foreign assisted projects ay need pa rin mag-submit ng request for exemption?
Yes po. Ang kailangan po natin diyan, mag-request talaga lahat ng request for exemption. Gaya po nakalagay po lahat 'yan sa section 4 na kailangan lahat 'yan. Meron tayong list dapat. List of public works being undertaken. Kung makikita niyo po sa annex natin sa section 7 sa resolution number 747, meron tayong list of public works or projects. So lahat 'yan dapat declared natin. So may annex B-1 tayo. So lahat ng public works natin or projects should be indicated doon sa request for exemption. Kasi hindi natin siya pwedeng automatic kasi once someone is doing something tapos kunwari may public works diyan, there is no presumption na yan ay exempted. Kasi hindi naman natin alam kung how or kung kailan niya nagkaroon ng ng NOAA or NTP. So lahat ng projects being undertaken by the LGUs that you need to proceed with during the period of ban, that is March 25, kailangan may notice may notice sa COMELEC on that particular project. So ang nangyayari kasi sa COMELEC during the election ban or the prohibition ban, meron tayong nakakatanggap tayong ng madaming listahan ng mga projects ng mga LGUs that they are undertaking.
Yun po, so clear naman po na kailangan pa rin po talaga natin siyang i-apply for exemption. So mag last 2 questions na po tayo dahil 11:44 na para po on time po ang ating program po for this day. Proceed po tayo sa susunod na tanong. Po last 2. With regards po to allocation, 10M lang po ba ang maximum allocation for municipalities? Salamat po. So I believe this is for Miss Ella po.
Per LBC 142 po, yes, 10 million lang po for municipalities.
Yan. So thank you po. So for as per LBC 142 po ito. Sige po, proceed po tayo sa last question natin para po in time po ang ating program po. So from LGU San Juan Mona Lisa po again. So one of the requirements is the availment of LGSF is the SB Reso endorsing the projects. If we are going to resubmit our request, is there a need to get another endorsement? Because the project will be funded by LGSF 2022 instead of 2021. Sige po, Miss Ella.
For the SB resolution, ma'am, kailangan niyo po ulit mag-request ng SB resolution, of course from the Sanggunian endorsing the project. Kasi yung resolution po na prepare ninyo noong 2021 is parang sinecertify nila na yung proposed project ninyo is included in your annual investment program during that year. So for this 2022, ang kailangan naman nilang i-certify is yung program nandun sa AIP ninyo for 2022. Thank you po.
Yun po. So very clear naman po, Miss Mona Lisa. Sige, pagbigyan na po natin yung last na question po. So I believe po, naka-raise po ng hand si Sir Rodel. Sige po, Sir Rodel, may unmute po.
Clarification lang, ma'am, doon sa question ng Sampalok. Kasi ang narinig ko ay hindi pwede. Doon sa Section 104, tama yung sabi ni attorney na yun ay for private na mga funds. Pero ang AX kasi is a routinary and regular program of the LGU under the SWT. So therefore, exempted talaga siya.
Attorney, nandyan pa po ba kayo?
Yes po. Pag private,
tama po, attorney,
Yes po, ang private kasi talagang as a matter of law, talagang bawal siya yung sa donations na ganon. Dito sa atin sa AICS kasi parang yung financial assistance yan
Apo, ito po yan assistance in crisis situation doon sa mga tao. Kasi kung siya ay hindi ma-exempt, paano pagka nagkaroon ng problema yung tao, hindi siya makakahingi ng programa?
Correct po. Basta kasama siya sa sa routinary na
yes, ma'am. Routinary naman siya. At regular program. Thank you po.
Routine and normal na program natin.
Apo. Thank you po, attorney.
Ayun po, so bali, to cut things short po, baka po kasi mag-exceed tayo beyond our time allotted po. So, ang request po natin kasi sa ating mga participants is really until 12 noon po. So, siguro po, I'll be cutting the open forum short na po. So, maraming salamat po sa ating mga RPs na talaga naman pong in-address po ang concerns ng ating mga participants. So, maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat po. Balik ko na po yung virtual floor sa inyo, Engineer Kim.
Ayun, thank you, Engineer Beth, sa ating mga resource persons at sa ating pong mga participants. Thank you po for actively participating po sa ating open forum. So before po we move to our last part of our activity, kindly fill out po ating post-evaluation form na nasa ating chat box. Please ensure din na nakapag-fill out din po kayo ng attendance at pre-evaluation forms para mabigyan po kayo ng certificates. And with regards po sa ating presentation materials, ay ipapadala po namin ito sa email po na pinrovide po ninyo. Ayun. So, clear po ba tayo doon? May I see thumbs up po? Ayun. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat. So, let's proceed po with the awarding of certificates. Ayan. So, please allow me to read the citation. Republic of the Philippines, Department of the Interior and Local Government, Region 4A. This certificate of appreciation is hereby given to James Verano for sharing his knowledge as a resource speaker during orientation on local budget circular number 142, guidelines on the release and utilization of the local government support fund, financial assistance to local government units, and support for capital outlays and social programs on 11th day of February 2022, held at DILG Region 4A, Calabarzon, given on the 11th day of February 2022, signed by our very own Regional Director, Ariel O. Iglesia. The same certificate of appreciation is hereby given to Engineer Paul Pabito, Then the next is the same certificate of appreciation is hereby given to Sir Alran Baltazar. And lastly po, the certificate of appreciation to Attorney Jonathan S. Sabellano. And para po sa ating mga participants, basahin ko lang po ulit. Republic of the Philippines, Department of the Interior and Local Government, Region 4A. The certificate of participation is hereby given to our participants for his or her actively participation on the orientation on local budget circular number 142, guidelines on the release and utilization of the local government support fund, financial assistance to local government units, and support for capital outlays and social programs on February 11, 2022, held at the Department of the Interior and Local Government, Region 4A, Calabarzon, given on this 11th day of February 2022, signed RD Ariel O. Iglesia. Congratulations po sa inyong lahat. So, congratulations po and maraming salamat po sa lahat at nag-stay po kayo until the end of this program. And to formally close po ating program, here with us today is our Assistant PDMU Chief, Engineer John Joseph B. Vasquez, to give his closing remarks.
Good morning. Yan, halos patanghali na po. No? Okay naman po yung engineer.
Yes po.
Yeah, thank you so much. Actually, before ako, nakatutok po ako dun sa open forum and until ngayon, kasi nga po, natutuwa po ako dun sa ating participation. Hindi po naubos halos natin lahat ng mga questions. Isang magandang indication talaga pong interesado tayo sa ating activity. At marami po tayong gustong linawin sa ating LGUs. Now, to sum up lang po yung ating naging activity ngayon, our first topic po kanina ay yung ating LBC, yung ating Local Budget Circular 142, na ito naman po yung katumbas ng ating FALGO last year. Ito naman po yung pang ngayong taon. So, maaari po yung iba nating mga LGUs ngayon na nakasama ay nakapag-avail at yung iba po ay at still nag-request pa rin po ng kanilang mga FALGO. So maganda po na-discuss ulit natin na refresh po tayo dun sa ating mga bagong features na LBC 140. Ano nga ba yung mga project menu? So may mga nabago po dyan. At ano nga ba yung mga criteria for us to be eligible para po sa pag-avail nito for 2022? So na-discuss din po yan ng ating speaker kanina. And ano po ba yung mga requirements na kailangan para po pagkatapos natin masabi na tayo eligible? Na-discuss din po ano yung mga kailangan natin ipasa mga proposal. And of course, ano ba yung magiging proseso ng ating pag-request? So, hopefully marami po tayong nalinawan dun sa magiging proseso ng ating pasasubmit. Pero one thing is clear, LGU to DBM po yung ating pag-request. Pero as to the requirements, we are here naman po to assist you. Pero ang pinaka-final say naman po dyan would be the DBM na sila po ang mag-evaluate. So napaka-fruitful po na ating discussion. Dinagdagan pa po ito ng ating mga kasamahan sa ating sa ating OPDS pagdating sa monitoring. Diniscuss what are the roles and responsibilities. At marami pong involved po talaga dito. At kanina nagkaroon din po tayo ng icebreaker na talaga isa rin po ako sa natutuwa dahil ang dami pong sumali at napaka-active po talaga ng ating participants for this activity. Na yung iba po ay talagang kahit sa chat box nagsasagot na para makapag-participate. So napaka-fruitful po nun. Yung mga questions natin doon, ang dami pong nakasagot. Isa rin po itong indicator na talagang tayo ay nakikinig or nabasa na talaga natin itong LBC 142. Kaya po maganda po yung naging araw kanina na isa pong parang refresher. Tapos sa isa ng mga naging magandang highlight po natin activity, we are thankful na dito nakapaglaan po ng oras si Attorney Jonalyn Sabeliano po sa atin to discuss ano nga ba yung mga kailangan natin tandaan pagdating sa pag-implement ng mga public works kasabay ng coming election. So dito po marami din po tayong mga questions and talaga pagaling ng ating mga RTs at lahat po na ating mga questions ay nasagot. At yung mga questions naman po na hindi natin nasagot, sorry po kung na-short na po tayo sa time, pero feel free to type pa rin po inyong mga questions at kami po ay mag-send ng mga answered questions na po with our RTs para po maibigay namin sa inyo for your reference. Then overall, ito pong ating activity, ang pinaka-purpose po nito is for you to be informed about the FALGU or yung ating LBC 142 and to encourage everyone na talagang mag-avail kasi ito po ay kailangan po siyang i-avail. So this is one way of having na ma-inform kayo ano ba yung mga requirements and ini-encourage po namin kayo sa DLG din and through the DBM sa lahat po ng agencies na mag-avail po tayo para rin po ito sa ating mga constituents. At kasabay nga po nitong request and the monitoring, nandito po lagi ang DLG. Kasama po ang inyong mga DI sa LGU na talagang pwede po makapag-assist. Together with our provincial and regional offices, meron po kami mga engineers na talagang tumututok po sa lahat po ng ating mga initiatives pagdating po dito sa pag-assist po sa lahat ng LGUs. So napaka-fruitful po and talagang pagpatuloy po natin yung ating mga naging pagpa-participate at yung ating enthusiasm pagdating po sa ating mga ng DILG. Again, marami pong salamat sa actively participating and hopefully marami po tayong maipasa ng mga request to the DBM. Na kahit po yan, medyo marami pong dagsain ng request ang DBM Central Office. Ayun po isa sa mga pinakamagandang indication ng activity nito. So again, thank you so much in behalf of our Regional Director. Lubos po kami nagpapasalamat sa lahat na naglaan ng kanilang mga precious time. So thank you and keep safe po sa ating
Thank you, JJ. Sa ating pong mga participants, thank you for joining us today and have a great rest of your day. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you po. Bye-bye. Kain na po.
Thank you po.
Thank you po.